Welcome to Tri-Front Heroes, a Legend of Zelda podcast. I'm Ellen.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Kasim.
And I'm Ben.
Hi.
What are you doing here? We let him come back?
He snuck in again.
Actually, it's more like he wanted to come back, question mark. Welcome back.
Yeah, I finished this game a few weeks ago. I've been dying to talk about it, so...
Guess what? We have this whole podcast where we all we do is talk about it, so...
You're like that banging on the gate, let me in meme.
Let me in.
I thought you were talking about Bowie for a second.
Oh, well, he's always
He is like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be that there are listeners who are just joining us for this episode, possibly. But if you don't, I don't know. Well, if you're just joining for this episode, you don't know us anyway, I guess. But Ben joined us for our Ocarina of Time episode a long time ago. Probably like...
about a year ago.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. Yeah, it was just about a year ago. Yeah, I remember I beat it on Canada Day, which was July 1st.
Wow.
And we're recording July 16th. And this episode comes out August 1st. So, yeah, about a year ago. We were talking about Ocarina of Time. Ben was there. And now he's back to talk about Tears of the Kingdom. Before we talk about Tears of the Kingdom, though, I have some business to discuss.
Oh, yeah.
Which is that we have...
Ben's like, what?
Yeah, no. He's like, I'm not here for business. All I want to do is talk about Tears of the Kingdom. I've been waiting for weeks, so... it's actually, speaking of how we were talking about Ocarina of Time like a year ago, this is our last episode of mainline games, because obviously there's no more Zelda mainline games after Tears of the Kingdom, so we only have a few episodes left. And so that means that in a couple of months, we'll be doing our finale episode. So there's this episode of August 1st. We're playing multiplayer games for our September 1st episode, and then an episode about spin-offs October 1st. And then we have a finale that's coming out November 1st, which we'll be recording in October. And if you've listened to our other shows, you know that we like to take audience questions during our finale. So if anybody has any questions for us about anything about Legend of Zelda, things about us that won't dox us, things about, I don't know, podcasting, any questions, we'll answer any questions.
Questions, comments, concerns.
Yeah. I won't address concerns, but...
Yeah, I was going to say we probably won't answer your concerns, but you can send them.
You can send them. I don't care. That's fine. I won't be injured. I've been on the internet for a long time. I can take a flame. It's okay. You can send us a direct message on Twitter. Our handle is at TriFriendHeroes. We also have... You can ask a question on Tumblr. Our handle is also TriFriendHeroes. We have an email that you can email directly, which is TriFriendHeroes@gmail.com. And we also have a form on our website. People probably don't go to our website, but it's staytogethernetwork.com/contact. I will put all these in the episode description. You don't have to remember everything I said. Everything's fine.
Yeah, write this
but
down.
Yeah, write all this down now. So send questions by October 20th. That's around when we're going to record. I mean, I'll post on all our social media and stuff also, but get excited, I guess, or be sad. The end is coming. I don't know. We'll have to think of something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've played so many Zelda games.
Right?
Yeah, this has definitely been the most time-intensive of our podcasts so far.
I think so.
So many hours of video games. I sent a list to one of my friends. She was like, really? You've been playing all those games and you finished all of them? And I was like, well, not all of them. And then I sent the list of all the ones that I had finished, and she was like, wow. And I was like, yeah, it's a lot of time. So
Yeah, we played a lot of Zelda.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the series, though, that I never really got tired of it.
No, I had so much fun. This was
there were a couple times where I was like, I want to play something that's not Zelda, but it wasn't like because I was tired of Zelda. There were just other games that are good.
Yes. Yep,
There's a lot of things that came out
Yeah.
that are completely unrelated to Zelda, like Harvest Moon, for example, that I'd like to play.
I stopped
Pikmin just
to play the
dropped.
Ghost Trick remake
I'd like to play that too.
a week or two ago. And yeah.
Yeah. There's also, like, I was looking at all the stats. I was trying to find, like, the sales numbers, but this game is still, like, too new.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, a lot. It's a lot. Well, I saw a stat that it was like, so there's an article that came out in May that said that it sold 10 million copies in the first 3 days, which we already discussed in our little first pass at Tears of the Kingdom. And then I saw something that said that it had sold 30 million copies in Japan, but like, I don't know, I couldn't really verify any of these numbers. And then the articles that was talking about that was commenting about how in the most recent weeks, so like around now in late June, there was also Final Fantasy and Diablo 4 that were released that were like kind of taking over the top spot week by week, but still Tears of the Kingdom's back in the top spot as of mid-July. So week over week, it's still like the top selling game. It's been the top selling game since it came out, which was late or like mid-May 2023. So
yeah.
May
12th.
May 12th. Yeah.
Well,
I
at
usually
least
put the
here. I
dates,
don't know. Was it?
I think it was worldwide. They don't do.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Like Switch games are like, I mean, they're probably not translated for every language immediately or whatever, but like they're mostly worldwide releases now, aren't they? Something like Zelda would definitely be. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, it's sold a fuck ton of copies so far, basically.
It's just a pretty sweet way to end your console life cycle. It's like Donkey Kong Country for Super Nintendo. Just absolutely like years later. Let's just crush it again.
Well, wasn't there a press release or something where they mentioned that they're not planning on making a new generation quite yet, and they're going to
probably don't have to, because you know what game also had high sales recently? Fucking Breath of the Wild. It's back in the top selling game list worldwide also too because of this game. So they probably don't have to make a new console anytime soon.
Yeah, I think at least not for the next year and a half, maybe even probably longer. But like, probably but they're probably holding off and not releasing it anytime.
I mean, it's definitely not going to be this holiday season, but
definitely.
I think they're talking about it soonish.
Yeah,
it still feels really new to me though. I kind of thought about it and I was like, that came out like 6 years ago.
Breath of the Wild, or just like
the Switch? The Switch. Yeah.
I mean, Breath of the Wild was the release
because
title,
Breath of the Wild was the release title. But...
Right. It was 6 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. People just have high expectations. They gotta compete with PlayStation, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Except they don't, but whatever.
Not this
not
time.
When they're selling 30 million copies a week or whatever of Tears of the Kingdom. So
it's still moderately hard to get a PlayStation.
I know.
It's easier than it was, but
they'll release like the PlayStation 6, and then by then people it'll be the same story again for years and years.
It's like I still own a PS2 so that I can play the original Spyro the Dragon game, so that should tell you about me.
Yeah. I have it for
Wait, was that an original release on the PS2?
It was on the PS1, but the PS2 is backwards compatible. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I don't own a PS1 anymore, so.
So you gotta have that new tech.
Yeah, like in '96 or whatever, the first time I heard like the opening screen come on for PlayStation, it was just like, oh my god, we're in the future now. We're playing it on a disc.
We're in the future now.
We're in the future of 8-hour load screens.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're in the future. Load screens are how you know you're in the future.
It was loading Crash Bandicoot, so that was cool.
Like, I can wait. I'm a child with lots of free time.
I was so bad at Crash Bandicoot as a kid, and then like when I played it as an adult, I was like, maybe I just had crappy child reflexes. But no, that's just a fucking hard game.
Yeah. I played they released it for the Switch, and I got it because I'd never played it really. And no, it was really hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, Zelda. Back to Zelda. So, also before we get into Tears of Kingdom talk for real, obviously there will be spoilers. We did a first take episode back in. It was released in June, I think. If I recall correctly.
Our first take. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't want to hear any spoiler talk about Tears of the Kingdom, but you really want to hear about Tears of the Kingdom, we did release that. You can go listen to that. But yeah, this game is this episode, no holds barred. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers are inclusive.
Going all the way to the end.
I won't warn you this time. You've been warned.
I thought the story was so good that it's like I would hate it if someone gets stuff spoiled for them. And
yeah,
that's why I'm telling them.
Yeah, I know.
In Tears of the Kingdom, an archaeological expedition in a suspicious cavern under Hyrule Castle turns into a time-traveling nightmare for Zelda and Link. From the past, Zelda sets a plan in motion for Link and the sages to finally be able to defeat the Demon King, Ganon. / Ganondorf. I never know what to call him. I don't care. Anyway, this critically acclaimed and clearly destined to be a top-selling game is reported to have sold 10 million copies in the first 3 days, as I just said, and has also sold a lot. So it's definitely... Oh, and it's definitely super highly rated, obviously, for obvious reasons, because it's an amazing game. Anyway, seamless segue to you, Kayla, to talk about the real... actual story. I can't get through my own summaries without laughing.
I think he's Ganondorf when he's people-shaped.
Yeah.
Ganon when he's monster-shaped.
I think you're right. Because people were like, time to fight Ganondorf. It was like, what? But they've been calling him Ganon. I'm so confused. Yeah. I should know by now. We've only played every other fucking Zelda game. But like...
Yeah, because like in the backstory part, they're like, oh yes, this is the Gerudo King Ganondorf, and Zelda's like, his name gives me pause.
Why does that name sound horribly familiar?
So yeah, this is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, taking place an ambiguous number of years, let's say 5-ish, after the end of that game.
Several.
Yes.
But not enough because Hyrule's still in shambles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Enough that children have been born and grown up, but...
But like Zelda and Link look the same.
Yeah, but like a lot of people still... Well, Zelda's taller than Link now.
Good. As it should be.
Everyone's taller than Link now. I love how short Link is.
He's especially short in this game, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even Riju is taller than him now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she grew up a lot.
And Purah, too.
And Tulin's almost as tall as him, which is hysterical.
He's a bird person.
Yeah.
That doesn't count. Yona's taller than him. So all the adult Zoras are taller than him.
Yeah, well, Zoras are big people.
Yeah. Fish people.
Let's just call them bird persons. Not even people, just bird persons.
No, bird person. You heard what I said.
A person
And I meant it.
A person of birdish descent. Anyway, Link and Zelda are happy and healthy for a moment.
I'm not already crying, you're already crying.
Unfortunately, despite the relative peace and major rebuilding happening now in the wake of the calamity, a new problem has already emerged. A strange substance that has been dubbed gloom, similar to Calamity Ganon's malice, but which also saps the health of all those who come into contact with it, has begun emanating from beneath the ground, and its source seems to be the ancient chambers deep below Hyrule Castle. Zelda, with Link at her side as always, takes it upon herself to delve into those depths and hopefully discover a way to stop this gloom infestation where it starts. Before heading down, however, they make a brief stop to pick up the Master Sword from where it sits under the care of the Great Deku Tree. You know, just in case.
It's probably a good idea.
Mm-hmm. The next line of his summary is, this was probably a good idea.
We can't do this anymore. We've been working together for too long.
This was probably a good idea, as the blade begins to glow with its evil repelling power the deeper they go beneath the castle.
There's orcs.
There's what?
Orcs.
Orcs,
yeah. Orcs?
Yes.
I forgot that you didn't immediately... You've seen all the Lord of the Rings now, right? I forget.
I watched them all, and I watched all the director's cuts in a single weekend, so it's kind of a blur.
Yeah, right. You don't know any. So you both know and don't simultaneously don't know anything. I understand. The Frodo's blade glows when orcs are. It glows blue when orcs are near.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
That I do know, because my roommate who made me watch them all, they had like a model of the Frodo's sword at their house, which they were telling me about. And they're like, it glows blue in front of orcs, and they're like, not ours. And then she's like, although if it does start glowing blue, I'm out of there.
Like, all I remember is you're just surrounded. Everyone's surrounded by a billion people 40 times, and they always get out of it somehow.
Because Lord of the Rings. That's why. Also, orcs are like mindless, right? So they don't. I could talk about Lord of the Rings. Let's not go down that road. I was going to say Frodo's sword has a name, but I can't remember it.
Yeah.
Let's start a Lord of the Rings podcast. I mean, what?
I was going to say, let's stick with one epic fantasy
Sting.
series at a time.
It is called Sting. I was right. Anyway, go on.
It's a terrible name. I mean...
Like I said, because it's Lord of the Rings, it probably has like 50 names. It probably has like a name in Elvish and a name of whatever that sounds like really cool, but its name in common is just Sting. Anyway, let's go. Let's please not. Let's not start.
Along the way, they also discover ancient statues who seem to depict a near-mythical extinct race known as the Zonai, as well as a set of stone murals showing the history of the Kingdom of Hyrule, and an early fierce battle with a monstrous figure. This gets resident nerd Zelda extremely excited, as it all lines up with the Great War against the Demon King that she studied about in the royal histories, a conflict known as the Imprisoning War. This excitement is short-lived, however, as at the deepest point in the cavern, the two come across an unsettling sight. A twisted and decayed humanoid figure frozen in an eternal cry of rage. Gloom seeps from its body, apparently barely held in check by a disembodied hand glowing with a strange power. As they approach this worrying scene, the hand seems to reach the end of its strength, tipping over and falling from the being's chest. As it falls, a large, tear-shaped stone comes loose from its wrist and clatters across the ground to Zelda's feet. She crouches down and, after a moment of hesitation, picks the stone up. It begins to glow brightly golden in her hand, but before she can do more than gasp in surprise at this, the grotesque figure in front of them begins to move in bursts of unnatural jerks and starts. Then it suddenly turns to look at Zelda with a harsh red glare, and a mass of gloom suddenly surges from its chest and shoots right at her. Link quickly jumps to defend her, but the gloom envelops the Master Sword and crawls its way up his arm, painfully draining his strength and leaving both his arm and the sword withered and decayed. Still, he grits his teeth and slashes once more at the attacking gloom, but the blade shatters into pieces on impact, and the twisted figure sneers at this effort. Such a fragile sword could never defend them against him. But still, where a shard of the blade made contact with the figure, his blood burns and boils from the power it holds. But for the moment, he doesn't even react to that. Instead, he addresses Link and Zelda by name and mocks their inability to harm them, when someone named Rauru apparently put so much faith in them. Zelda anxiously asks how he knows their names, but he doesn't deign to answer. He turns his focus above, sending up a surge of gloom that cracks through to the surface of Hyrule and shakes the ground all across the kingdom as it sends the very foundation of the castle into the sky. The ground below also suffers, beginning to crumble underneath their feet. The twisted figure seems to welcome this, falling into the blackness below with a satisfied expression, but Link and Zelda are a bit less happy about the whole situation. As Link finally collapses to his knees from pain, Zelda steps toward him, only for the ground to completely give way underneath her. Link immediately shakes off the pain and leaps for her, but he just barely misses, their fingers brushing as Zelda falls beyond his reach. But then a golden glow suddenly envelops her, and she disappears into thin air. And before Link can keep falling after her, the disembodied arm from earlier grasps his hand and jerks him upward, both vanishing into a blue light. Sometime later, Link awakens suddenly in a small cave. The glowing arm has fused itself to him, replacing his own gloom-damaged one, and as Link stares at this in shock, a voice suddenly chimes in, echoing all around him. It expresses relief at Link's survival, and claims responsibility for replacing his arm, which was damaged beyond saving. It also claims to have heard much about Link from Zelda. Link, as always, takes this all in stride. He finds the broken remains of the Master Sword nearby and picks it up before making his way outside, where he finds that he's currently on one of a series of islands floating high above the clouds. Exploring around for a bit eventually leads Link to a door that, despite bearing a glowing handprint symbol that's previously reacted to Link's fancy new hand, will not budge when he tries to open it. Here, the source of the voice reveals itself, the lingering spirit of a Zonai named Rauru. He claims that Link's arm originally belonged to him, and tells him that the door will only open to one with enough power, something the arm should normally be capable of, but has apparently lost the ability to do so. He recommends that Link visit the shrines on the island, which are filled with a sacred light which should be able to restore the arm's power. Link does so, and finds that each shrine not only restores a lost ability to the arm, but also allows Link to regain some of his own strength by expelling some of the lingering effects of the gloom. With this renewed power, Link is able to open the door, and finds himself within the ancient Zonai Temple of Time. Inside, a projection of the image of a tear-shaped stone like the one Zelda picked up hovers at the center of the room. When Link touches it, he's transported to a strange, misty, otherworldly realm, where Zelda floats in front of him, eyes closed and unspeaking. She slowly reaches out her hand, and Link takes it, which allows her to transfer one final power to him, the power of recall, which reverses the flow of time on an object. Link then snaps back to the real world, where he is able to use this new power to reach the door at the back of the temple. Here, Rauru reappears once again and expresses how pleased he is that Link has recovered so well and made it so far. He tells him that he's glad they were able to meet, even if only briefly, and that Link is exactly as Zelda said. And with a final farewell, satisfied that he has done all he can to help, his spirit fades into the wind. Continuing outside, Link finds a stone altar at the end of a long path, above which hovers a glowing golden light. The broken Master Sword seems to react to this light, so Link draws it and holds it out. When he lets go, the sword hovers within the light for a moment, and then, with the distinctive sound and visuals of the recall ability, it travels across unknown ages to reach Zelda. The blade chimes again, and Zelda, eyes widening with some realization, clutches it to her chest. Back in the present day, Link stares at his recall-powered hand in confusion, until a distant rumbling catches his attention. With a sudden echoing roar, a dragon, different from those who roamed Hyrule's skies previously, bursts up through the clouds, glowing with a brilliant light. In its wake, the barrier of clouds below parts, revealing a path back down to the surface of Hyrule. Zelda's voice calls out, beckoning Link to come find her, and after taking a moment to gather his courage, Link makes the leap, diving down to the lands below. When he gets there, landing safely in a convenient pond, Link finds that Hyrule is in a rather changed state. The quaking of the ground not only exposed entrances to cave systems all across the kingdom, but also opened up a number of impossibly deep chasms into a dark, gloom-filled realm known as the Depths. Chunks of rock and ruins from the sky have also fallen to the surface in several places. And most immediately concerning, strange and deadly phenomena have been plaguing the homelands of the various people of Hyrule. A freezing storm over Rito Village, an endless dust cloud covering the Gerudo Desert, gloom erupting from Death Mountain in place of its usual lava, and a strange sludge raining down on the Zora and contaminating their water. Not to mention Link and Zelda's sudden disappearance at the start of all this. Getting Link back safe and relatively sound is a relief, but the people still worry over the loss of their princess. Their old Sheikah researcher friend Purah, who has evidently been tweaking her de-aging device since the last game so she looks like a young adult instead of a toddler.
She's now the perfect age, obviously.
Yeah. According to the fan art I've seen, she is.
Yeah. I've seen way too much fan art that I want to unsee. I mean, what?
Purah suggests that Link begin his search for Zelda by checking out those strange regional phenomena, as she has a strong instinctive feeling that it will lead them to the information they need. Link takes this advice and travels to each area, where he meets up with old friends from his previous adventure and joins them in solving the problems troubling their people.
He has to do everything again, because he's Link.
Yeah. In doing so, they discover ancient temples that each house another of the tear-shaped stones. These are all watched over by the spirits of sages, people of exceptional skill from across the land who once pledged their loyalty to Rauru, the first king of Hyrule, during the fight against the Demon King in the imprisoning war long, long ago. The stones are called secret stones, and they were gifted to each sage to amplify their natural powers. Link's friends among Hyrule's people, Tulin of the Rito, Riju of the Gerudo, Yunobo of the Goron, and Sidon of the Zora, are all descendants of these sages, and their ancestors now call upon them to take up their secret stones and their vows to fight alongside the swordsman Link when the Demon King returns. They also explain that they made this original vow to a fellow sage of their era, the Sage of Time, who looks and sounds uncannily like Princess Zelda. But how could that possibly be?
So in the name.
Maybe it's just a title.
Yeah. Like I'm the master of time. That's what they call me. But I can't time travel. Yet.
Gotta find your secret stone.
Clearly, I haven't met my ancestors yet or whatever.
Well, as Link journeys across Hyrule, he also encounters a number of glowing glyphs that recently appeared, and each houses a pool of light that reveals to Link a memory of Princess Zelda's own journey after disappearing beneath the castle. He learns that she was sent back in time to the era of Hyrule's founding, not long before the imprisoning war. She was found by King Rauru and Queen Sonia, her distant ancestors, and welcomed into their home and family as they recognized their own powers of light and time within her. They tried to help her find a way to return home, but despite Zelda's innate time powers being enhanced by the secret stone she picked up, and being trained further by Queen Sonia, no solution emerged. Except for one with consequences too horrible to make it worth considering. Swallowing a secret stone to become an immortal, mindless dragon, an act long forbidden by the Zonai. The king and queen also had their own troubles to deal with, the rise of the Gerudo king Ganondorf, who coveted their kingdom and the power granted by their secret stones. Zelda eventually witnessed the Gerudo king murder Queen Sonia and seize her secret stone, then use its power to become the demon king she knew of from legend. She helped Rauru gather the other sages and prepare to stand against him, but she had realized a horrible truth. The figure she and Link saw awaken beneath Hyrule Castle in the future was the same demon king. Their efforts to defeat him here and now would fail. But still, Rauru rose to face him, and when their outcome seemed grim, he made the ultimate sacrifice to seal both himself and Ganondorf away for thousands of years, trusting that, in the distant future, the swordsman whom Zelda spoke of with such unwavering faith would one day be able to defeat the Demon King. Now, though, Zelda was at a loss. As much as she believed in Link, she had already seen Ganondorf shatter the Master Sword and weaken Link nearly to the point of death. And she was still stuck here in the distant past, unable to reach him or do anything to help. When the power of her secret stone called her to the altar behind the Temple of Time, The broken Master Sword was delivered somehow to her hands, and she realized what she must do. The Master Sword can be healed and even strengthened beyond its original power when bathed in the power of pure light, the power Zelda herself possesses. But it would take an unimaginable amount of time, well beyond her normal mortal lifespan, for it to achieve the level of power needed to face the Demon King. And so, after taking some time to visit the other sages and put things into motion, Zelda prepared for the Zonai's most forbidden act. She swallowed her secret stone and held the Master Sword clutched close to her chest as her body began to convulse. In an eruption of blinding light, Zelda transformed into a dragon, the same unfamiliar dragon that Link saw soaring through the clouds and around the Sky Islands, with the Master Sword embedded in its head, drinking in her power of light. The dragon roared its unnameable anguish as tears fell from its eyes, pooling on the ground as the very memories Link now watches this all through. A shaken Link emerges from this final vision to the sound of the light dragon's roar as it passes by overhead. Zelda still pouring her power into the Master Sword even now, all to give Link a fighting chance against the Demon King. Link doesn't let that incredible sacrifice go to waste. He retrieves the newly strengthened Master Sword and gathers the awakened sages, and together they seek out Ganondorf in the depths for the final confrontation. Ganondorf has been rebuilding his power since Link last confronted him, and he's an incredibly powerful and formidable foe. But with the sages at his side, Link is able to bring him to the brink of defeat. But the Demon King isn't going down so easily. Enraged and desperate, he seizes his stolen secret stone and swallows it, repeating Zelda's sacrifice for much less noble reasons. He transforms into a monstrous demonic dragon and seizes Link in his jaws before crashing upwards through the ceiling and emerging into the skies high above Hyrule Castle. Not alone here either. Roaring defiance, the light dragon comes speeding through the air toward the transformed Demon King, freeing Link and catching him before he can fall. Zelda may not remember herself, but she remembers her knight, and she remembers their purpose. And with the light dragon keeping him aloft, Link is finally able to land the final blow and bring an end to the Demon King. As the demonic dragon is consumed from within by a pillar of light, Link stands atop the light dragon's back and watches. And then his arm begins to glow. With a flash, he and the light dragon are pulled once again into another worldly realm. The spirits of Rauru and Sonia appear beside Link and channel their powers through his arm, directing a beam of light toward the dragon. Link watches in amazement as its form reverts and Zelda reappears, floating unconscious below him. Rauru and Sonia give Link a wordless farewell, then join hands and fade into the wind once more. This sends Link and Zelda back into the real world, where they are still high above the clouds, and Zelda is still unconscious. His princess is falling again, but this time Link won't miss. He dives for her, catches her hand, and pulls her close, holding her tight as they plummet into the water below. Link carries Zelda ashore and gently lays her on the grass, where she slowly begins to wake. She sits up and looks around, regarding Link with confusion, but that fades into exhilarated amazement when she sees the Master Sword on his back. Her efforts were successful. The sword reached him, and the Demon King is gone. And with the help of the people who love her, Zelda was able to come back to herself too. After everything, she is home. The end.
Yay!
Well done.
I know you did a good job.
There's a lot to go through.
Yeah, it's like a time travel.
Yeah. There's like most of the story content is revealed as memories, so you're like, I did so much. I like went to all the dungeons and got all the sages and blah blah blah. But like 90% of the story already happened in the past. Oh, and there's also the scene where all the sages they swear to protect Hyrule and everything's fine.
Yeah, that's super cute.
Mineru
I like how they
leaves
like.
And I'm sad.
Yeah.
I love Mineru and I want her to stay forever.
Yeah, I couldn't find a way to address her directly in the summary because her plotline's kind of stuck on.
It's kind of all over the place, but also it's great and I love it. Everything about it.
Yeah, it's important. It's part of. It's like she's part of the flashbacks and everything. It's just kind of hard to be like, oh yeah, now you have to go find this other sage.
Yeah.
It's like you said, he wakens the sages. Like, it's fine. She's included in all of that. It's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah. The final scene is really cute, how they, like, stumble over their words, because it's not like they rehearse this, and then, but then, like, gather it together and finish. It's cute.
Yeah.
I like that Link still doesn't say anything, also.
Yeah.
His allegiance is
He
implied.
doesn't need to say anything.
No.
Yeah, I was going to say it.
He was already knighted in Breath of the Wild, so it's fine. His allegiance is sworn already.
Yeah. It's like, I don't think anyone doubts his
Nope.
commitment to protecting Zelda at this point.
No. They shouldn't, at least.
I think I saw it online somewhere where someone mentioned Zelda going back in time and then gets to know Rara and Sonia, and then like they're probably naming their descendant Zelda after this person who was there and then left, and it's like she created her own legend. Thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not to mention the game starts with her falling and Link failing to catch her, and then it ends with you catching her.
Yeah.
I like to think that what it was is that like they knew she was from the future but wasn't sure when, and to make sure that Zelda is born with that name and everything, to like keep the timeline, they're like, let's just name every Princess Zelda from now on until she comes, and then, you know,
just in case.
Yeah.
I love Rara and Sonia also.
So on another note, something similar, Link never talks, like you never hear him, but he always is able to like communicate with other people. So like he has a voice.
Yeah.
I remember somewhere hearing, which I guess wasn't true, but like I like the idea of Link being a mute as a way to sort of like a reason why, you know, he can't speak or talk or anything like that. Like you don't hear him because he just can't. And I feel like that would be an interesting character trait to explore more, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing in these games though, because it's explicitly stated that he talks, just not a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
I think in some of the games you could do that, but
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is that like one iteration of Link to be truly, you know, mute or nonverbal, vocal or something like that. You know,
he's just the grand tradition of the silent protagonist.
So that you can insert yourself as a player.
Yeah.
They also said they designed him to be more like androgynous looking in Breath of the Wild, so that I guess more players can relate to him or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I never gave a fuck, but
yeah,
I guess that helps. I don't know. But it was an interesting choice specifically for that reason.
Yeah, I remember when the Breath of the Wild trailers, like the really early trailer first came out, some people were like, oh, is Link going to be a girl this time? Just because of like the character design.
No, just an androgynous.
Yeah.
He's just very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought the cutscenes were they really stepped it up this time. Like,
Yeah.
I did appreciate Breath of the Wild's kind of backstory and stuff, but they took advantage of the time travel by giving that mystery. Like, yeah, I have a really fun time watching the actual moment when Rara imprisons Ganon. That's one of my favorite cutscenes I've seen of anything in a long time. And then to follow that up with, you watch the prologue again, and Ganondorf recognizes Zelda, and he's like, "Oh, you must be Link. All that faith he put in you, and that's the best you could do." Like, it was just so savage. Like, I mean, they just set the tone and the atmosphere so well right at the beginning.
Yeah.
I also like the interactive question mark cutscenes. Like at the first one, the very first one, where you have to like you walk around, like it's a cutscene, but you move around in it and stuff. And then also where you're diving for Zelda, like I assume you can't fuck it up, but you still have to push the button. Like like you have to interact with it. When that happened, because I knew it was going to happen, that was the thing that got spoiled for me, which I was really pissed off about. However, when I saw the cutscene, like I was like, "Oh, you have to actually do something. Like it's not just going to happen. Like you have to push buttons." I was like, "Oh shit, oh no!" So I really liked that.
I'll gush on it more later, but the fact that they made that last bit playable was a really, really smart decision. Like that just made you just get fully into. And then, it ends and it's just like, you found Zelda complete, like just a little smart ass at the end of it. Just like destroy Ganondorf complete. Like after those missions are up there on your log for like 200 hours or however long you end up playing this game. So
I forgot to check my hours. Anyway, that's totally random, but I wanted to look.
Yeah, that's something I always like in games in general, when they have like a mission at the very beginning that doesn't get solved until the end. But,
Find Zelda is
like, I liked how they did it with it. With it like popping up at the
that was definitely very satisfying.
Yeah, they had some really fun like use of the medium in this game that I appreciated.
Yeah,
like in the final battle with Ganondorf before he transforms into a dragon. Like I definitely got a nervous laugh out of me when this health bar just kept going.
I did think that was hilarious. Or like goes, it enlarges all the way across the screen or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no.
Like it stretches across like normal and then just keeps going. I was like,
There's like a TikTok or Instagram
like, I'm gonna die.
where someone's like cutting a pizza and the guy's yelling, "That's enough slices," because they cuts like 500 times. And my wife was just yelling, "That's enough slices," just over and over as it kept going up and up. And it was just like, well, we're in for it now.
That's also like halfway through because the first phase he has on like a normal health bar, right? So then it's not till the second one where you're like, you're already deep. You already got through all the first phases, like the like the monsters and stuff, and then like the first part of the fight, and then it increases. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, it's just like at that point you've seen that like that whole song and dance where the like enemy title appears and then the health bar stretches underneath it. Yeah. So then it like subverts it at that last moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you we could talk for like 3 hours about that final. Like every time it was like, okay, well, it's cool. I'm facing him one-on-one, but what if like all the sages are with me now? We're all fighting again together. Okay, but what if I fight as demon? Oh, now I'm fighting as demon one-on-one, and then Dragendorf, and then, it just keeps. Yeah.
Well, I think we were talking about it, and I was saying before any of us had finished the game, there was like I was saying that I didn't expect Zelda to swallow the stone. I thought that they were saying that Ganon's plan in the past was to swallow the stone.
Mm.
But then he did do it anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're like,
Yeah.
I was right, bitches. I was right.
Yeah.
It's definitely something Ganon would do.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't expect it to be Zelda at first. It's like as soon as they start talking about swallowing Secret Stone, it's like, well, someone's going to turn into a dragon.
Yeah.
But I think I expected it to be like Rauru or Sonia at first. But then, like, it became more obvious it was going to be Zelda. And the dragon Ganon totally caught me off guard because we're talking about like being spoiled by fan art. It's like I haven't seen a single piece of fan art of Dragon Ganon.
No, everybody's talking about the end, not the fight.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything of it at all. But like I've seen I saw lots of fan art of the Light Dragon. I was like, well, something's up with the Light Dragon. Like beforehand.
Well, I just saw people
I saw the cutscene and everything, and
people were like, and then he caught her at the end. I was like, oh, you bastards! So why did you say this?
Yeah, I saw a lot of that too.
Yeah.
A lot
Tumblr.
of yeah, and a lot of Ghibli inspired fan art
Mm-hmm.
for both the dragon and the like falling through the sky.
Yeah.
So
I'll be honest, like listening to your podcast about Breath of the Wild, it did help me go back and appreciate Zelda and Link more. I enjoyed the story enough. My wife almost wasn't even into it at all, couldn't really get into it. And then this game happens, and she found out about the Light Dragon, and she's done like a complete 180. She's just like all things Zelda. Like we literally went from, okay, the story's kind of, it's there, we do enjoy it, whatever, to, dear God, what are they going to do from here? Are they going to move on from, make a manga, anime, anything, please? Like, give me more of this Zelda and Link.
I ship it. Yes. Mm-hmm. I was just like, well, we talked about how great they were in Breath of the Wild, and then you go to their house, and it's like, and then they're like living in the house. Like, there's like, I don't know, my shipper mind is exploding from this game.
Yeah, I love the story of Breath of the Wild is much more subtle and much more like focused on just sort of like the subtle building of their relationship or previous building of their relationship, I guess. And this one's much more like, I don't know, dynamic and everything, but like it needs that foundation of Breath of the Wild to work. Like, you have to start this knowing that, like, these two are already completely dedicated to each other. Because, like, this didn't have to do, like, any of the, like, building of that because you already know going in. And then, the early cutscenes help, like, reestablish that.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that she's a nerd also. And all this is, like, just like, well, my dad never let me go into this sketchy tunnel. But all these like texts say we should go into the sketchy tunnel, so I'm gonna do it now. And like that's the like inciting incident of this game. Is because Zelda's a nerd. It triggered all this shit. And I like that everywhere you go in Hyrule now they set up all the like survey teams. She's like, okay, like I know what we need to do. What we need to do now that Hyrule's in ruins is go and do like anthropological research. That's what our number one priority in Hyrule. And they're like everywhere. Like, oh, the Zonai research team.
They just
Makes me.
Yeah. She built schools too, which is
Yes. Sorry, Ben.
both good, both very good, leader thing to do, but also speaks to her nerdery. So
Yes.
It's like, yes, education and research are going to be the foundations of my future kingdom.
Yeah.
Well, they did a great job of like the interplay and stuff between the two. Like Kayla can explain it, but there was a moment in the prologue where she was talking. She mentioned it like way back when we all started playing that first weekend together about the torch.
Yeah.
It's still there when you go down to fight Ganon.
Yeah, but yeah, that's one of my favorite moments at the beginning is like when she's getting all excited about the murals and stuff, and she goes like digging for the Pura pad to take pictures, and like just like silently steps forward and takes the torch from her so she can use both hands to find it.
It's so charming. It's because they have a great relationship.
It's not like a novel of a story, but it's just, I really appreciated the writing like instantly. So
Yeah, it's very well written in like a cyclical manner, like everything bookends, and I really like the building of tension at the beginning, descending into the. We talked about that being like really good.
Yes,
while you're
yes,
descending into the thing, but like the tension at the end when you're going back down is like even more. So like like when I got to the point where you make that like final jump.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, and like when I like landed in the cutscenes, I literally had to like stop and like shake out my shoulders. I was like so tense from everything before that.
I know it's a section for later, but the music really just played, like they lean into the music so good, and it just like it kept giving you this fuck around and find out feel. Hey, this is like, and to their credit, they made it hard. Like this is not going to be a cakewalk.
No. I definitely think that this like fight overall was harder than Breath of the Wild as well.
Oh, absolutely. And like I started making a lot of like what is it, the Sundelians like meals to prepare for any gloom damage that I took so I could, heal past that. And then at one point I'm like, wait, what happened to my health? And I noticed that if you take gloom damage and then get hit again, you lose that heart. You can't recover it. I was not prepared for that. That really like.
Did you never get hit by any gloom things before?
No. What happens is
I think it's only in the final fight.
In the Ganon fight, you take the gray damage, so you can't heal past it, and then you lose that heart completely. Yeah, so even with the food that normally heals your gloom, it's gone. You cannot revive it.
Yep, that's right.
And so, yeah.
And I had no clue about this. When he throws those, like, the flaming gloom at you, you can actually hit it back with your Master Sword, like Ocarina. I didn't even think to try that.
Oh.
It's a very Ganon thing, though.
Yeah, I did that instinctively. I was like, I bet I can hit this back just because of my experience with previous Ganon fights. And I was like, yes! Which is good, because I couldn't figure out how else to hit him, because he like perfect dodges all your strikes.
That was another really cool thing about it. Yeah.
The fight is really like the mechanics in the Ganon fight are really good. Like it's really hard, but they're really good. Someone online commented that it's like playing another player, which is definitely true.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's not just like an NPC. Like you can't predict what he's gonna do. Yeah.
Oh. So what you could also do is if you hit him and he dodges back, you can dodge his flurry rush and you can go into your own. That's how I did it most of the time. So that was another way to handle it. I got a couple times
where if you dodged and didn't go for the flurry rush, you would have an opportunity to hit him. A couple times, but mostly I damaged him by hitting the things back at him.
Smart.
I didn't know there were so many different ways to fight him.
I didn't make it to that part of the fight, but I'll try that. This is good knowledge.
Yeah.
I only made it to the first round.
Yeah, that's the thing I generally like in this game is like there's a lot of ways to do almost everything.
Yeah.
And like even though like some ways seem like much more intentional and like the other way is kind of boring, but I like the fact that they still have like you can do the boring way if you want to, because it makes sense that you would be able to, so they don't like, prevent you from doing that.
You can fight Ganon with a massive bridge. That's
probably
that's what I'm hearing.
So another thing that I learned, because I beat the game yesterday, and I tried to do a little bit of research on like speedrunning and stuff today. And I also looked at like what happens if you just go straight to Ganon and you don't get any of the sages, you have to do the whole fight by yourself, which is you have to do all the bosses, which I didn't know you could do without the sages. I thought you needed the sages for at least the Goma fight and the. I
mean, if you have like enough bombs and stuff, like if you just have a shit ton of arrows and stuff, you can probably fight them. It's just a lot easier with the sages and their powers.
Way much easier, yeah.
Yeah.
I wondered if that was possible, because at first I thought, I got the impression that they were like being a little more linear with this game where like you have to do things. But then like once I got down there, I was like, I bet there's nothing really stopping me from getting down here unless there's like some invisible barrier that pops up beforehand.
No, you can go.
And I know that like if you, in Breath of the Wild, if you go straight to Ganon without activating the Divine Beast, you have to like fight all the blights in a row.
Yeah.
Beforehand, so I was like, I wonder if you just have to fight those bosses in a row by yourself if you don't have the sages to
you do, and you have to
fight them off
one right after the other, and you don't have any of their sage powers.
Yeah,
but theoretically you could do it.
Yeah. I watched someone do it, and it was like 35 minutes of them just trying to do it. Although they mentioned that this was the first time that they saw those bosses, so they were trying to figure it out.
They didn't know, so they didn't know how to fight them. Also, that's also a good. I mean, if you'd never seen them, then you wouldn't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used a lot of Splash Fruit. I mean, I used Sidon's power, but it takes kind of a while to come back, so it's just easier to just throw
they ended up using a hydrant. That's really useful.
There's a hydrant in there, too. Like, I can't... I think it is. There's a hydrant before you go in, so if you somehow are able to bring that with you, which I don't know if you can. But in that part where you can make a little glider and glide over...
You probably have some in your pocket, too.
Yeah.
You should, if you don't have any sages. But yeah, that would also work well. If they didn't have any stages, do they have enough battery? Like, did they like...
No, they had one battery. Oh. So yeah, it was...
I died with like 5 batteries and like so many hearts. I don't know how people do this.
Yeah, I don't know. They struggled. Like they had a lot of food and stuff.
But even then, there's like a limit on meals. Like like and fairies and stuff. Like, I mean, not a limit, but you can only carry whatever you can find, and you can only...
Well, no, they stop spawning after you have a certain amount in your inventory.
Oh, really? Fairies. I wondered about that because I went to look for some and I couldn't find any. I probably had like 3 or 4. So
yep, I think the most you can get is 5 if you're lucky, and like you have 3 and 2 spawn in front of you. But like once you have 4, I think they stop spawning.
Wow,
something
that makes a lot more sense because I was really mad and confused about that.
Yeah.
It's like, I needed these. I'm a bad player.
Which also made it hard for me to find out where they were, because like if I had all fairies, they wouldn't spawn, so I wouldn't know where to go for more in the future, you know?
They kind of spawn... There's like a place in Sky Island. This is a pro tip for people who are still playing this game. There's like Sky Islands that have like ponds. They're really easy to identify from far away, and they're kind of like... I always see them around there. That's where I would go pick them
The one
up.
that I always went to is where you get like the gliding top, I think.
Where you drop down into the little pond.
Because that one is very noticeable from the map, so I'm always like, don't accidentally go to the wrong place. Yeah. And I think it was one of the first ones I found.
There's also a well or two that have them, but you probably have to mark it when you find it.
They're also in the pond under the Gerudo Desert Leviathan that sunk into the ground, which I thought was clever because that's where there used to be a fairy fountain. In Breath of the Wild.
I know what you're talking about. I didn't go there, but I've seen.
Can I just say that even after everything that happened in that story, I still wasn't like thinking about Ganon. I was like waiting for like his boar form, like normal, and then he turned into a dragon. And I was just like, that makes sense.
It's a dragon.
Yeah, I like that it looked like the Calamity form.
Yeah,
as he was
yeah.
So I was like, oh.
Like, this all makes sense.
You want to talk about like gameplay performance? Like he was flying around at like supersonic speed, and Zelda's flying around. You're like intertwining, and it was like such a spectacle.
That was really cool.
The best fight. It was a lot better than the Breath of the Wild final fight, also.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because you're just like, it's cool. Like, he's a big boar, and you riding a horse. It was the only time that I enjoyed horseback combat in Breath of the Wild, and she, like, lights up all the things, and you shoot them with a light arrow, and it's, like, cool. But this was, like, we're, like, flying in the air. There's, like, dragons fighting. Yeah. There's, like, it's, like, so wild. Such a good fight.
Yeah, I think Breath of the Wild had good spectacle for the final battle, but this like not only improves on the spectacle, but also made it like more fun and engaging to be a part of.
I will say that during the cutscene when the Zelda comes in as a light dragon, I'm like, oh my god, are you gonna ride her like a mech and like fight dragon to dragon? But that is not what happened.
But that would have been cool.
That would have been cool. Yeah, I do like what happened. That did give it a very
This is a Zelda
epic
game. There's got to be eyeballs that you hit at some point. You know.
Yeah, but I really like the way it was, and
she still helps you.
It's just like how instinctively that works. Like when I like hit the first like weak point, and I was like on my paraglider hovering down, I was like, okay, there's no updrafts. How do I gain height again? And I like looked down and I saw the dragon down there. I was like, oh, she's gonna catch me if I fall.
Yeah.
And so I just like immediately let go. Like I knew she would get me and bring me back.
Yeah, and she like pops, kind of like flies up to you and like catches you with her face, which is great. Also.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
That just like seeing her fly around and like catch you, and like the visual effects of it all, I think, were very satisfying. You know, just like how quickly you go up, and like the feeling of like that speed and strength, and
I also
like
feel like you're so high up that you also don't feel like you're gonna fall and like hurt yourself. You know, there's like you can see there's sort of a long way down, I guess, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but I feel like a lot of this game was like you can float really high in altitude in the map, and so this dragon fight's also like that.
Yeah, I also feel like that mechanic that of like the dragon catching you is like also kind of built on the like the relationship between Link and Zelda that's like been built up of the game, because like I had no doubts. I was like, oh, of course she's gonna catch me if I fall. Like like it didn't have to explain that to me in any way. I was just like immediately knew that that's what would happen.
So another comparison for Breath of the Wild, just in general, with Ganondorf is, I think Calamity Ganon's dialogue amounted to "rar." And
yeah.
This game, I mean, I think
like, his introduction alone was fucking like bone chilling.
Yeah.
Right.
Every form of him, like he, you know, throughout the cutscenes where, I mean, God, he killed Sonya. Like, there's just so much menace and malice to him that, you know, they just reestablished Ganondorf as like just one of the most badass villains. And
yeah, it's like the series kind of goes back and forth on whether you have like the just monstrous, mindless Ganon form, or whether you have the like
an evil man.
We got the like monster form in the last game, so it was kind of nice to get the sort of modern version of the more cunning Ganondorf.
And this is out there on YouTube, but there's actually, so I think we've played it, amongst four of us, I think we played it in a couple different languages. There's actually a video of that opening scene where Ganondorf wakes up in the prologue, and they show it to you in 8 or 9 different languages. And every single voice actor just kills it. Every single language. It's just so. They really wrecked it with that.
The voice acting in general is really good in this
game.
Yeah,
it's definitely better than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I think Breath of the Wild was fine.
But it's improved.
Like, this is like genuinely good.
Yeah,
voice acting, especially Zelda's voice actress. She like had a. Again, I think she was fine in Breath of the Wild, but she is like incredibly improved in this game, especially playing like normal Zelda and also the like evil puppet Zelda.
Yeah.
That like freaking Blood Moon speech that she that she gives is like.
I live with someone who's admittedly biased. She had me switch to Japanese after a while. It ended up being cool because like in the final battle, like Ganondorf's motif is clearly samurai, so that did kind of add to that. I think it's fun to be able, because you can switch and look at different languages and go view the cutscenes again. It's like there's a very good standard across the board. I thought.
I think one of the scariest scenes with Ganondorf though is actually when the eyes turn on, open up when at the very beginning of the fight.
Yeah.
Like he starts talking to you as a mummy, and then they suddenly just light up, and I was like, ah, like what? Like he's creepy the whole time, but that part is especially creepy. I feel like.
Yeah.
God, when he kills Sonya and that
was fucked up.
That was like one of the creepy. I watched it again today, and my wife was still like, "Oh."
Actually, a lot of this game is creepy. We didn't even talk about the depths yet, which in retrospect is not that creepy, but it's still creepier than other Zelda stuff. So, but yeah, there's a lot of creepy things in this. There's a lot of creepy sounds. There's a lot of creepy places. Yeah. There's a lot of creepy characters in this game compared to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Freaking gloom hands.
Yeah.
Those gloom hands.
That was terrifying. And then what I didn't understand till later, I guess, was that I guess you had to get to a certain level of hearts or something where it finally says, okay, now I'm going to throw a Phantom Ganon at you. It actually happened to me in the Great Deku Tree when I was trying to help them out. And I thought I
think it always does that in the Deku Tree, but then overworld it does it randomly.
Because Ellen's sister, it happened elsewhere, and I was confused. But the first time that happened, I was like, did this become my favorite? Because Phantom Ganon's my favorite enemy from Ocarina, so I just got really geeked out when that happened.
Phantom Ganon, I just love Phantom Ganon. I fucking hate Phantom Ganon.
This is, a gameplay thing. The sages are there. I freaking love it. But even they can get, knocked on their ass. And, they're like, we're going to help you with the gloom hands. We'll save you, Link. Link, save me. Help.
Yeah.
They can get eaten by likes too, which is hysterical.
Oh,
I've never seen that. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the sages.
The avatars. We didn't talk about that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, just that's kind of more gameplay. I was just talking character-wise still. Yeah, we got most of our buddies back from the previous game, with the exception of Teba being replaced by his son Tulin, which was a great idea because Tulin is the best character.
Yeah.
I do love Tulin, and I especially
so cute.
He is cute. I especially love how he is constantly headshotting enemies. For me, that's my favorite part.
Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah, the whole game, I'd be they'd be that little ping sound. I'm like, thanks, Tulin.
Thanks, Tulin.
Yep.
It's like when Mifa used to resurrect me after I jumped off of a cliff and be like, thanks, Mifa. And I was like, oh, thanks, Tulin.
There was a point where he was stunning Lionels, and I was just like, bruh.
But in general, I like how these characters get more character development in this game because they're just kind of there in the last game.
Yeah.
Sidon got a decent amount of development because he has
he has doubts.
relationship with Mifa and stuff, but most of them are just kind of there, especially Unobo. But
yeah.
He created an epidemic.
He created a drug.
I was like, wow,
like a drug lord.
We're going to a dark place, Nintendo.
Yeah, I was like, Unova the drug lord was not the character development I expected.
But then I like that you knock off his crazy luchador mask, and then he's cool again.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, what did I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Drugs are bad. I mean, what?
Yeah.
I ended up being partial to Riju too because I don't know. I just thought she was a badass, like her and Tolan. It was it got to the point where, well, it's gameplay, but with Sage's Wills, it was just it became a matter of preference. But anyway, I just enjoyed having them along with me I would lock them and then they come with me and fight with me. That just felt. There was maybe 10 things I would have said I would improve from Breath of the Wild, and that was the one I didn't even know I needed. I needed so bad. I didn't even know it was possible because of the, could they do that with a billion things happening on screen? They pulled it off. It was great.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like it was like Breath of the Wild was about kind of loneliness, and I feel like this game's a lot more about connections.
Yeah.
And so having the ability to have a representation of your friends out in the world with you helped to kind of convey that.
I turned them off for a bit because I was trying to drop a bunch of stuff on the ground to cook it. and which can be very dangerous if your avatars are around. But then I was like walking away from where I was using the fire, and then I was like, "This is like so lonely and shitty."
Yeah, well, because like when you go into the depths to fight Ganon, they're like, "Oh, the sages can't help you anymore."
Like, no.
I felt so naked.
Yeah.
Where's my mech?
Yeah.
Mineru, come back.
Yeah, I kept trying to do the gust of air when I was gliding down there, and I was like, "Oh, Tulin's gone."
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I love with Tulin's story arc, I love how they do like the typical like hot-headed teenager storyline, but using like bird terminology. He's like, "I'm already fledged. Why are you treating me like a hatchling?"
Gosh, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
The dialogue, a lot of the dialogue is really funny, actually, in this game. I can't think of other examples off the top of my head, but a lot of it's really good. Or they say stuff, and you're like, wait, what? What did you just say?
Yeah, there's a lot of good comedy in this game. Which I think was part of the, like, not, having a different tone from Breath of the Wild. Like,
Well, on that note, having Lookout Landing in the central Hyrule, or Hyrule Field, and, like, pulling together a bunch of people like Purah and... Robbie and like that was kind of cool, like in terms of like the family, everyone coming together element and having like a central place to kind of go back. I mean, I always go back to Lurelin too because I just love that place, but having Lookout Landing was, I think, a really good addition.
Yeah, and just like having a lot of people who like know you and are concerned about you and stuff. Like there's a lot of jokes about like people not recognizing Link, but a lot of people do recognize Link and they're like, "Oh God, you're back, you're okay."
Yeah. And then like, "Wait, where's Zelda?"
Yeah.
Well, and then you have that hey, we see Zelda up there. It's like, no, that's Esmer Zelda. That's not the good one.
I was surprised that fight didn't actually have like a puppet Zelda. He's just like, "Use my puppet," and then she just like, he just destroys his fake puppet. But it's like, why didn't we actually get Puppet Zelda fight? I don't know. Anyway. It's fine. There's like 50 Phantom Ganons that you have to fight, so it's fine. Yeah. I guess you don't need to have a round of Puppet Zelda, but I just, I don't know.
I also thought the original stages were cool. They don't have much character, but their aesthetics are cool.
They're dope. I love their
masks
like masks.
And everything.
Yes. I love them. I like that they all get this. Yeah. Also the build up to the temples where it's like calling the new sage and stuff like that.
I wish the Rito sage had been female because I was just kind of assuming they all have the names of the Ocarina of Time sages and Wind Waker sages. So I guess Medley can be a boy name.
I guess we don't know. We don't know anything about Rito, gender, culture. Is that they're named? I mean, I guess, are you just...
They don't. I was just saying, like, this is kind of my headcanon.
Yes.
Is that they, like, have the names of the previous sages in the games, but...
The Zora one is female, right? Like,
yeah, the Zora one is female, so she could be Ruto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you were right. I can't remember when we talked about it, but you were like, Goron, there are no female Gorons. I googled this. You're correct, and I was wrong. So, yeah, I don't know. And then like whoever Unovos, I guess like Daruk. I don't remember what the
Darunia.
I forgot Daruk is from the other, from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Darunia. Yeah. I love Mineru. Also, I've already said it a lot of times, but I enjoy her as Sage. And like, you have to like go put her together, which is hilarious. Put her mech together.
The mech is dope, but I did end up turning it off because I couldn't see half the time with her there. But like, I actually having a mech made a lot of sense because you can customize, do whatever you want. I still like if they do a DLC, I kind of want to be able to play as have an actual Mineru or even Araru like avatar. That'd be really cool.
Oh, that'd be cool. I really didn't like the depths very much. I know you're all like, I love the depths. The depths is so great. And I was like, I don't know. I don't really like it. But then once I got Mineru, I was like, I don't care. The depths are great. Walk around everywhere. Walk on all the gloom. Shine my light on everything. It was fantastic.
Yeah. I like the atmosphere of the depths more than I like actually playing in the depths.
Yeah.
But there's some cool stuff down there.
I like it as a concept. I don't like being there. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, well, they definitely communicate their vibes very well.
It's like you literally can't see. You can't see. You can't even see the outline of stuff in the distance.
Yeah,
it's just like completely black until you light it.
Yeah, it's a really cool.
Or like
lighting
sometimes
system
you'll
down there.
see something like that's glowing in the distance, and you walk, and then it's gone, and you're like, "What the fuck? Wait, what happened? Where am I?"
Where's the light route?
Yeah, and then sometimes it's just like there's a tree in front of you that like
exactly.
you have to go walk around. But
or you're
sometimes
like, wow, that thing looks so far away, and then you throw like a bloom like bud at it or whatever, and it's or a light bloom or whatever the fuck they're called, and then it's like right in front of you, and you're like, oh, never mind.
Find out you're in a giant like canyon, and you're like in the bottom.
Yeah.
Just, like Mickey Mouse, like ha ha. Oh.
I like the designs of the Zonai, who have been a big mystery since Breath of the Wild, and so we get to see just 2 of them.
Yeah,
2 is enough. Like we get we get to see a lot of their ish, their deal.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like that we get 2 of them, and they're like they don't look identical. You can see that there's like some substantial range of how they might look. But like, they got like short little legs.
I do like the short legs.
Big old ears. Yeah.
Minoru has like a long neck.
I do think it's cool how they have like kind of weird proportions like compared to like the more like human characters. Like they got like really long torsos and short legs and stuff. Like I think it would have been easier to just like stick a dragon head on their furry bodies and be done with it. But
no, they're kind of like goat-ish.
Yeah.
With long ears, and I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how Minoru and Zelda seem to be buddies.
They're BFFs. I enjoyed seeing their
like. I really like
plans.
the cutscene of like, I like the cutscene of like Minoru like she's severely injured, but still trying to like talk Zelda out of what she's gonna do, but then like realizes she's committed and is like, all right, I'll do whatever I can to help.
I think it's interesting. Her line when it went at the beginning of the Ganon fight or whatever, she's like, I need to atone for the past or whatever, and I don't think that's like explicitly stated until that point, but you can kind of see how she like laid plans for everything, like she created the mech for herself and like left a bunch of constructs for you and things like that, like she was as instrumental in setting the plans in motion as Zelda was, which I like how like cool.
You can see like everyone was kind of helping to bring about this final battle, so Link could defeat the Demon King. Like the sages, all like hiding away their secret stones and pledging to like call on their descendants, and like Rauru obviously like hanging around so he could help like Link adjust to having a freaky glowing arm and being in the sky.
Being in the sky, yeah.
That the imprisoning war, like every time you unlocked a sage, they kind of told you basically like a very almost exact same story with a couple different lines. And it was like, okay, so I heard it. He imprisoned him. It was really cool. Then you unlock Minoru, and then you actually see him imprison Ganondorf, and it was like one of my favorite cutscenes, like period. Just the way they use recall on the weapons and trick him, and like he basically tells him like, you're gonna go down to a dude named Link, and then the overworld music hits, and then it goes really quiet, and like Ganondorf till the end. I look forward to meeting him, and then they fade out, and the Zonai music hits, and it's just like, oh god, it was perfection to me.
I think it's really heartwarming how like Rauru had like such faith in Zelda that he completely believed that in her faith in Link. And like his dialogue from the beginning of the game is really heartwarming. And after you see all these cutscenes, because you can see he's like, oh, I've heard so much about you from Zelda, and you're exactly as she said, and how he's like, I'm so glad we got to meet, even if for just a moment, because like he's been sitting there for thousands of years just waiting for for this moment. And
yeah, I do enjoy the like little cutscene of them having like tea or whatever together, and she's like, oh, Link is so great, both of them. They're like, oh, you talk about him so fondly.
Yeah.
And it's cute. I like that they like, I feel like you could replace that cutscene with so many other things, but like I like that they keep that one,
Yeah, it's a sweet cutscene.
It is. I think it helps build that sort of like the way that Rauru reacts to you also in the future,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how they've sort of like become a little family, even though it's like they are family, but separated by like hundreds of generations.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, they like might as well be like a what do you call it? Like immediate family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're better parental figures than her father, is that what you're saying?
He tried. He just didn't do very well.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Can I, well, I don't know if this goes into like enemies and bosses, but having unique temple bosses, unique temple bosses again was really nice.
Yeah, the temples are dope. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
I had a lot of fun just getting to the temples, like getting up into the wind temple and the anti-gravity stuff to get to the water temple.
That was fun.
Oh, yeah.
The Mukta Rock was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
All the bosses were really good. Yeah, they were very memorable in their own way and had unique mechanics.
I like Colgera. You like can crush down through and stuff. It's pretty cool. It was a good opening boss.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking of when I was talking about how like they'll let you do kind of like the boring way, even if it's like not really the intended way. Because like I didn't realize until after doing that fight that you could just hit him with arrows, and like I've seen people be like,
"That's what I
like, oh, it's kind of boring. You just shoot arrows at him." I'm like, no, you gotta dive through him. It's epic.
Yeah.
I mean, as I explained before, I'm not a very good player, so it's like, no, I need arrows. I can just hit him with arrows.
Yeah, like that didn't even occur to me. I was like, after
like,
the climb where you were jumping through several of those like icy like barriers to get just to progress. I was like, once he started shooting the spikes at me and I could see it was like a flat ice thing underneath, I was like, I must dive through this.
I've learned.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how you like fought like Queen Gibdo for a bit before you even got into the temple.
Yeah, I hated how her health reset though. I was so mad about that.
Yeah.
I did like the fight beforehand though. That was fun.
Like I was just like, la di da di da. Oh shit, are we fighting?
Wait, is the boss here? Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Haven't even walked in the building yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, never a time where you didn't like the most time you wish you had Din's fire on you was when you're surrounded by Gibdos.
Yup.
But yeah, it was nice having those fights again.
You don't need Din's fire. You have Richu's lightning.
I love that power.
Yeah. That was definitely great.
Yeah.
You can take down some big enemies with that thing.
I really struggled in that fight, but it was fun.
Speaking of the Gibdo, we got some new enemies in this game.
Yeah.
And some new old enemies, I guess.
Fucking Gleox are back.
Yeah.
Although I didn't fight any, but I saw one from far away and I was like, fuck that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I briefly tried to fight one way too early, and then I was like, no.
Yep.
I never went back to try again. I'll have to do that at some point. But
I'm sure it would be fun, quote unquote.
Yeah, we got some old enemies making a debut in the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom world with the Gibdo, who are kind of insect-like now.
They crawl in a creepy way.
I didn't like that.
Yep.
I didn't like that at all, but in the fight in
At first they were just like shambling towards you and it's like whatever, and then I saw the first one that was just like crawling on all fours at a high speed. I was like, no thank you.
Yep.
In the fight with Ganon, they like start out on the floor and I had a fire thing attached to Minoru, so just like burn all of them, like just like flamethrow on all of them.
Oh yeah. That'd be very helpful.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, no, fuck that. Fuck all of them and the flying ones.
I also don't like how their like necks kind of like shudder. I don't even know
about them is awful.
They're sort of like a
Yeah.
Like I mean in a good way, but no, but not.
Yeah. Definitely continuing on the fine tradition of being nightmare fuel.
Horrible zombie enemies.
Yeah. We also got likes back.
Which are also
disgusting.
Much more creepy in this game.
Oh yeah.
The first time I saw one, I was just like, "What the fuck is that?" And then when it like ate me and I lost a weapon, I was like, "Oh, these are fucking likes, aren't they?"
Yeah, but they're all gross and drippy,
Yeah,
and
and
they attach and wiggly.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really unsettling.
And their sound effects too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also they can also spit fire and lightning and shit at you, which the old ones never did. They just kind of wiggled around on screen and were like kind of annoying. At most they would trick you into thinking they were a rupee.
Yeah.
Now they fucking shoot fireballs at you. Ugh. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's like likes in... Weren't there likes in Ocarina of Time? I was trying to remember if there's a game that Ben would have played.
Yeah,
that
they're
had
just
them.
kind of...
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they're like really like pulsatey in that game. Like,
Yeah, they look like the 2D ones, but 3D. These are evolved
Yes.
yeah.
in a horrifying way.
Yeah, and then like the Gleeoks, so they're sort of an overworld boss. A new overworld boss. As far as like straight up new enemies, we got the constructs are probably the most prominent ones.
Oh yes.
Different soldier dudes. Those are cool. I like how they have like different levels of
Yes.
like challenge, and how like the top ones can like fuse stuff to their weapons. And...
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we got the walking trees, which are very startling the first time you see them.
I like love hate
They also
them.
have
Yeah.
They also have the best name ever. They're called Evermeans. They got the Arakudas, which are the flying
That's what
guys
they
that
were. I couldn't think of
carry
their names.
bokoblins.
Yep.
And then the Horriblins that were like the
Oh yeah.
cave monkeys that hang to the
Yeah, I
ceiling.
fucking hate those too. I forgot about that. I already blocked them.
When you start the final sequence to go fight Ganondorf and you run into like a horde of them, and that's the first thing you hear is the sounds they're making. Like my wife in the room was like, "What the hell is going on?" Like it's startling.
You're like, what's going on? Is I'm gonna run as fast as I can past these things.
Yeah, it's like I just ran through that tunnel. In a previous one, I put on the Horriblin mask and just run through.
Oh, so smart. I couldn't find Colton again, but or whoever's selling monster stuff.
Yeah. He always hangs out by a town, like he's up on like the hill outside of Terrytown, or like a little ways outside of Gerudo Town. So he just hangs out by towns, and so
I will be on the lookout.
Yeah, he's very unsettling, but he does give
Useful
good rewards. So
yeah, exactly. I'll take it. It's fine.
Set as part of the rewards.
Oh, nice.
It looks pretty
It's
cool.
like this version's game of the rupee armor.
Oh, okay. Magic armor.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it makes you look like a Bloopy or a Satori or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So there's all the returning enemies also have like fancy horns now, which you can attach to your
Yes,
weapons after you kill them.
They also have horrible gloom versions.
Yeah, it's like down in the depths, everything's covered in gloom.
The big frogs monsters in the depths.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't climb them. Like I kind of had to like get at an angle to get. Well, I couldn't get up there to destroy their. What do you call those? The outcrops on their backs. So.
Oh yeah, the rock thing.
You can kind of walk up their tails because it's sort of a ramp. But,
just shoot them with a cannon on your mech from far away. That's what I did.
Yeah, there are a couple of spots where they're like right below the chasm, which is.
I know. I ran into one.
Yeah.
That was the first time I saw one, and I was like, "Fuck this! I have to get out."
It's like, oh shit.
Well, you're already diving.
And they can
down.
jump really far, so you can like think you're way out of their range, and then all of a sudden it like lands on top of you.
Get squished.
Yeah. They've also got like little baby versions running around in the depths.
They eat your
jump at you and eat your light blooms.
Yeah.
The temple bosses again down there multiple times.
Yeah. That was very cool that you could do that.
And then the Colosseums were dope. Just to be able to have that challenge. The Lionel one was crazy.
I dropped in there because I was like, that's probably a fight. And then I got through one Lionel, and then the other one, the door opened, there's another one. So fuck that. Okay, I'm out.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the Flux constructs. Which are like the bosses.
Oh,
made of
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I struggle with them for a little bit until I realized you can just like pull them apart with Ultra Hand.
Yeah, you can just find the block that matters and then pull them apart.
Yeah, and just yank
Or
it
even
out.
the blocks that don't matter. To just make it
Yes.
smaller and Yeah,
I like when it turns into a platform.
But yeah, it's fun
you can jump on it.
Yeah. It's fun uses of your powers because you can like use recall to ride the cubes back up. And
I think they integrated the powers really well. We didn't really talk about that, but
Yes.
yeah, in fights like that.
let's see, other new enemies. We've got battle taluses, which are just
Oh yeah.
normal taluses, but now they've got like a little fort on top of them.
They're domesticated.
With a couple bokoblins.
Domesticated stone talus.
Yeah. We got boss bokoblins.
Yes.
Which,
Yes.
turn the normal enemies into a bit more of an organized army, which is kind of fun.
I love nothing more than throwing a muddle butt at him and just watching him.
That's what I would
Yeah.
always do.
And let the chaos unfold.
Yeah, I'd always like shoot them, and maybe if there was like a silver bokoblin, I'd shoot him with a muddle bud too, and then I'd just get up high and wait for them to wipe out most of them before. And then the gloom hands, which are probably the most notorious enemy in this game.
Yeah. It's a bunch of fucking hands, horrifying hands. And it also makes everything like the blood moon around you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, just everything about them is like made to be so unsettling because it can like come out of nowhere, and like that music starts up, and they're so fast, and they make horrifying sounds.
And they can grab you and your friends. It's pretty great. Oh, and they do gloom damage to you. It's so great and horrible.
Yeah. It's a very well made enemy,
Yes.
but it's also horrible.
Yes. Oh yeah, then like you were saying, Ben, if you kill them, they turn into Phantom Ganon. So it's like there
Yeah.
isn't even a reward for killing them. So-
Yeah.
But my favorite thing to do is to climb up and wait for them to disappear and leave dark clumps behind.
Yeah.
Just climb something and wait, hopefully, if you can. If you're out in the open, you're fucked. But
That was kind of funny. Like you when you finally kill them for the first time, and it's like, okay, what a dark clumps. Thank you.
what the
Yeah.
fuck is that? Yeah, exactly. I was like, there's got to be a meal to like get rid of gloom, right? And it's like cook these dark clumps, and then it makes all this like horrible looking stuff.
Yeah, it's like gloom resistant meals.
Yes. I was like, what the fuck is a dark clump?
Yeah. Yeah, the first time I ran into one of those was in a cave, which fortunately had a higher level, so I just climbed up
Yeah.
there. But I was like, what the fuck is happening?
The first one I ran into was actually on the Akala Citadel, but I just like saw it and
Yeah.
walked away. And then there's one,
Yeah, sometimes you can see them like
yeah, you can see them pop
with
up.
the hands out,
Yeah,
and they're like
Or
the
just-
way they're like drooped forward is really creepy to me.
kind of
before
like
they spot
a
you.
like a floor master. Like you can see the gloom moving around if you're in a good
Yeah.
enough spot. There's one on the Great Plateau also, kind of near the shrine. One of the shrines of the Great Plateau. So I would just like walk out of the shrine and then bolt for a tree, and then the gloom would aggro me, and I would just wait. The gloom hands would start to attack, but I was in a tree, so that's what I would do.
There's also one I found in the basement of one of the labyrinths.
That's upsetting.
And I came to it from like below, so I like climbed up and like la di da, and then the gloom was moving. I was like, oh fuck! And it was like it's just a flat room, so there was nowhere to climb up. So I just like dived back down the hole I came up.
It's like never mind.
Yeah. I think the only one I actually fought directly was the one you have to in the Deku tree. So I just noped out of there every other time.
Well, I fought one on the way to the Deku tree because you have to go through the gloom hole, and there was one on the way in between where you drop down for me. And so I fought him, and then I got to I was like, oh, I'll just be able to go into the Deku tree and everything will be fine. And it's like, nope, you have to fucking fight another one. And I was like, I just did this.
Yeah.
So, like, I did the whole thing with the Phantom Ganon and everything. So, like, ugh, okay, fine, whatever. It's fine. I just unlocked the shrine there and came back. Got some more equipment and came back. It's so creepy in the Deku Forest before you fight the Gloom Hands, where they all, like, you can talk to them, but they won't talk to you.
Yeah.
It's like, Koroks have never been scarier. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, the first time I got there, I was like, well, now I kind of feel bad for, like, shooting your buddies into the sky.
They're fine.
I actually never did that on purpose. I was always trying to get them where they belonged. I just miscalculated with rockets.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to put them at slightly the wrong angle, and then
Yeah.
they're just gone.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, I'll put you on a cart, and I'll strap a rocket to it, and you should get cross most of the distance, and then I'll take you the rest of the way. And then they go, like, flying off. I'm like, oh, sorry, buddy.
Bye.
I think Kayla just summarized the first weekend of the internet with this game. Just like, I try to get the Korok where I want to go, but I miscalculated with my rocket.
I quote-unquote miscalculated.
There was a wild trick I actually saw. I mean, the internet kind of shows you, like, again, it's a sandbox, and they gave you Ultra Hand and all these ways to innovate, but, like, Recall and Fusion kind of did it too, where it's like, okay, you got to get your Korok, your backpack Korok, up to that cliff. Well, you go to the cliff where the other one's waiting. You shoot you attach a piece of meat to an arrow via fusion, shoot it down to the Korok you need to move. Go down there, use Ultra Hand to attach the Korok to the piece of meat, and then use Recall on the arrow, and he just flies on up to where he needs to go. No, just like I would never even thought of that. And people on the internet just figure it out.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, like Recall especially. There's so many uses of it that I didn't even think of until like later on. Like I was watching some video the other day, and they were talking about the like the Goma fight, and they're like, "There's also some cool uses of Recall in this battle." I was like, "Oh fuck, I didn't even think of using Recall." Like,
because Goma throws crap on the ground, on the rocks. So like, can't you just? Wow, I didn't think of that either.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was just like, oh, I have to use Unova
to blast out.
Trash these things. But I was like, oh, I could have just fucking sent it back at him.
Oh, we're amateurs.
Yeah.
Some people are living in the future, and it's not us.
I feel like Recall and Fusion both would have been like star mechanics in Breath of the Wild. And they even have a backseat to Ultra Hand. And people, Recall, it's like the more you start to mess with it, you're like, oh my god, like it really is amazing how you can just have it in real time. It's almost like that movie Tenet, like the Christopher Nolan movie. It was just a really cool mechanic.
Yeah, and the range of Recall is really useful if you like accidentally drop stuff.
Yep.
Because it like freeze time instantly when you activate it.
Right.
And so like as long as you can and it has a really long range. So like as long as you can see it, you can usually get it back.
Yes.
Which it took me a while to figure that out. I'd be like, no, come back.
No,
if I,
my
drop something off a sky island.
My stuff I blew away with Tulin accidentally. No.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're like, finally I get in the habit. I'm like, wait, just hit Recall. I can get it back.
So smart.
It made the shrines a lot more fun to me because there truly was even in Breath of the Wild, there's multiple ways to solve a lot of puzzles, but this game it just like really. Again, I'm not the creative type, so I'm not able to think outside the box too much. But again, it's like there's a shrine where I saw on TikTok where it's like, okay, you gotta roll, like attach these two huge metal balls together, then they roll in a certain way, and then they'll hit that target over there, and everything opens. Or you just take a metal ball, attach it to a boomerang or a spear, and throw it, and hit the target with it. And lo and behold, the next day I ran across that shrine, and I just was like, yeah, that would be easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah, and like this game like fully embraces that like creativity. Like it never, like it's fully capable of like limiting your options if it really wants to. Like if it wants you to learn something. Yeah. Which it does in like some of the shrines, but then like in other ways, it's like they could have cut this off if they didn't want you to do this. And so like,
I remember there were a lot of shrines in Breath of the Wild where you can't use the paraglider and stuff like that. I don't think there was one in this game that I didn't do all of them, but I don't think there are any shrines that I went in except for the ones where it's like we're taking away your equipment or like where they're trying to teach you something, so it's like you have to do a certain attack. But every other one, it's like I can take out on devices, I can like do whatever I want, I can drag things, I can paraglide. Like I don't.
Well, you can't take restrictions. You can't do any of the capsules. Take out.
Okay, yeah, but you can take them from one part of the room to another.
But if you like already have one on your shield,
right? Yes,
use it and stuff. So
yeah. There's pretty few, like, actual...
Like, a lot of people are talking about how, like, you can rocket jump over, like, a lot of the shrines, but it's, like, there are also other shrines where they, like, put a really high gate to block you, so it's, like, if they wanted to stop you from rocket jumping, they could have stopped you. Yeah. So, like, they're obviously not too bothered if you figure out another way around a lot of these shrines.
There's definitely somewhere it's like you have to do, like I just did the Jenga one. I don't know if y'all did it. I don't remember what the shrine is. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. There's one where there's a ball that's stacked on top of a bunch of stuff, and it's like I guess you could. I think what Mike did was he just flopped the ball toward him and caught it somehow. I thought that was what I saw him do, but like you can take the things and like electrocute the little platform, and then you can catch the ball, or you can like, I don't know, but you can't, if you go over to the thing, you can't just like ascend up to the top or whatever. It has a mechanic where it'll like destroy the whole setup if you land on it. So like there's definitely shrines where it's like you're forced to do something with the setup that's there. Like so anyway, whatever. There's some safety mechanics in there, but a lot of the times like you can basically do whatever you want with whatever's in the shrine, which is pretty cool. And like whatever equipment you have for the most part.
Yeah.
I think they also do a good job of like teaching you. I think you were mentioning this, but like just things that like you can do later in the overworld. So it's the challenge isn't necessarily completing the shrine. The challenge is the experience you gain and applying it out in the overworld. Right. I think,
the purpose of the shrine is to like teach you mechanics that you can use in the real world outside of the shrine, basically.
And I think that's really cool. And I think they did a great job with a lot of that.
Yeah, they're well placed because there are a lot of them where like you'll get to the shrine and be like, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that," and then
I can
like
roll through lava.
10 minutes later, you'll be like, "Oh, I can use that thing I just learned how to do." Like,
yeah, exactly.
I guess we're talking about game mechanics now.
So yeah, mechanics that we definitely weren't talking about before.
I know, right?
I mean,
and like I think we went over a lot of these in our first impressions episode, so I'm gonna go over a lot of this very quickly. So yeah, the mechanics are the core mechanics are in a lot of ways similar to Breath of the Wild, with the climbing, sprinting, all that. You've got the main abilities. You've got Ultra Hand to move and attach and build objects. You've got Ultra Build, which saves the builds that you have made, so you can quickly put them together, and you can use Zonite to construct the parts that you don't have with you physically. You've got Recall to send things back in time. Ascend, which lets you go through ceilings.
you have the amiibo ability, very important.
Yes, amiibo ability. There's map.
Camera.
And the camera, that's the one. You've got the camera. Oh, and fuse. Yes.
And fuse.
Fuse to fuse materials
Things
to
to
your
weapons.
and armor. Shield. Which I think...
And your mech. I mean,
yes.
what?
Which I think is...
Although she has her own fuse power, I guess, technically,
yeah.
but yeah.
And your arrows.
And,
Yeah.
So there are several... Wait, no, that's not what I was going to say. Oh, the fuse ability is probably one of the biggest changes to the mechanics. The weapons overall are generally fairly weak. I think the story is that they've been rotted by the gloom, but even when you find the pristine ones, they're still fairly weak, and you need to fuse materials onto them to really make them worthwhile, especially against stronger enemies. Against, the easy early enemies you can manage without doing that, but against the Lionel, I mean, if you don't have something fused, you're just making life hard on yourself for no reason.
I love fuse. I had so much fun with that.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
It was something that I didn't like at first, but the more I got used to it, the more I liked it. I think part of it is I don't like using materials from my inventory. I'll be someone who has 999 potions and be like, I might need these potions later. I'm not going to use them right now. So it hurt a little bit to go into my inventory and take out things that I knew I wasn't going to need later, but still worried that I might.
Yeah, I think. It worked for me because coming off of Breath of the Wild, all that stuff was so useless.
That's true. Yeah.
Except for unless you're making 8,000 elixirs. Yeah. So I was like, I can finally use monster parts for things.
Yeah, that's true.
And I never minded the weapon decay that much, but this made it almost a positive for me, because sometimes I'd be like, I want to pick up that weapon and fuse that horn to it, but I don't have an inventory slot, so I'd be like, oh good, I broke a weapon on this guy, now I can use his horn to make a new weapon.
They've got along with the building, that's a huge, you can build your way out of any problem you have. You can make I wonder if you could have auto-built against Ganondorf and just brought your creations to him to fight him.
Auto build those little things.
Yeah, like I've seen some people build like death robots, like helicopters that will target enemies and shoot just a barrage of
if
cannons.
you have enough Zonite, can you? I don't know if you can use your powers during the fight with Ganondorf. Like, can you just like auto build it in the middle of the fight and pay a bunch of Zonite and just have it? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know. Can you just drop the materials and create something that only uses Zonite devices that you have in your inventory?
Can you auto build?
I'm googling.
Okay.
Holy shit!
As long as someone is.
He disintegrates your constructs within seconds of them going up.
No.
I haven't fought him. You want me to try later?
I mean, it sounds like.
I'll
but you
you
could
know
also
what
like,
happens.
yeah. I mean, even still, one of the things that you might be able to do is put a cannon on your shield, and that way you are defended and can maybe attack him at the same time.
I have a cannon on my shield. I'll let you know.
Cool. Yeah.
Actually, I think it might have broken.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll attach one. I'll let you know.
Did you ever get the Hylian shield?
No. Where do you get it?
I found the first one in Hyrule Castle, like above ground. And that broke against the Ganon. I that was one of the first shields I actually got, because I went into the castle kind of early, and there's a puzzle that you solve and you get it. And then that lasted me against a bunch of Lionels, Gleeoks, all the bosses. It just broke against Ganondorf. But then I think in one of the villages, my friend said that you can buy it for 500 rubies or something. But that might be only once you've already obtained it.
Found it?
Maybe. I'm not certain. The Hylian shield.
Yeah, you can get it in Ateno after you do the whole mushroom, like the politics quests.
I mean, what?
I think it costs 3,000 rupees.
Was it 3,000? Oh, wow. That's a lot. But again, I mean, it lasted, like... I switched shields every now and then because I put a ruby on it, and sometimes I didn't want that because either it would make me too hot or something. But for the most part, that is the shield I used for the entire playthrough, and it did not break. Oh, yeah. So there's a bunch of different devices that do some very cool things, like the rockets make you go... you can attach it to a shield and just get a rocket jump. Or you could attach it to things and just make them go. You can attach them to a Korok and make that go. You've got a bunch of different types of wheels and such, both regular wheels and Zonite device wheels, which I guess, should I explain that you have a battery pack that you use to charge them, and if you're using those abilities, while it's active, your battery drains. While they're not active, your battery recharges. There's gliders and fans and all these other cool stuff.
There's like the tipper upper. Things that'll keep things upright.
yeah.
The Weeble Wobble.
Yeah, the Weeble Wobble.
Wow, that's one I need to like just
There's
go
like
crazy.
a shrine where you have to use it.
Yeah,
and it flings you. But like I didn't really use it after that.
I know, but it seemed really fun. I feel like I want to just to do it.
Could probably do like flip a Korok somewhere, you know.
Yeah. I've seen people use them to like stabilize their crazy constructions and stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't made anything.
Definitely underutilized the rocket shield, because there are a lot of times where I was like, oh, if only I could get some height to use my stop time arrows, and I was like, I should just attach more rockets to my shields for that.
Yeah.
And there are also times where I just had a really high cliff that I didn't want to climb. You know? Yeah, that would have been like helpful to just get most of the way up, and then I could, climb it. Anyway. Oh, we didn't talk about the sages. The sages, you've got Tulin, who all of them give you abilities and fight by your side. Tulin, who gives you an ability to traverse horizontally while you're gliding. Very helpful for going places. Yonobo, who launches himself like a cannon, leaving a streak of fire and an explosion of sorts. Yeah. Upon contact. Riju, who puts a field down, and when you strike with an arrow, she will shoot lightning at that same target. And Sidon, who gives you a water shield that you can shoot out in a wave when you slash your sword.
It's like listed in order of most to least useful.
It's like I love Sidon, except his ability is like yeah, come see, come saw, I would say.
Yeah.
Even in the fight where you're supposed to use it, it's like, can you
Yeah.
recharge faster? Like, could it go farther? Like, I have,
I've actually only appreciated him as a combatant because he does a lot like a combo attack with his spear.
Yeah, he's got good reach, so he's nice to have in a fight, but his actual ability is...
Yeah, as an avatar, he's useful. When he's,
has
like,
very
around.
limited uses.
Yeah.
Does you cook in the game to make a bunch of different status effects for yourself? Resistances to elements, increased damage and armor, movement speeds, stealth, things like that. And you have armor sets that you can wear that apply bonuses that are similar. I think there's two. No, that's one new status that they added that I think is I haven't used enough, but I think is very helpful. Is the slip resistance?
Oh yeah.
Where
it's sticky.
Yeah, where you can climb things without slipping if it's wet.
Yeah, they added a few different statuses.
Yeah, there's the weather attacks. So when you're
the weather attacks, and then the glow and the gloom resistance and stuff.
So there's a couple other ones.
Does being glowing actually help you in the depths?
It makes it a little easier to. It's easier to see your immediate vicinity more than anything, so you don't accidentally jump off a cliff.
It's good for like immediate navigation rather than like planning your route or anything.
You always have a billion bright bloom seeds, so you're usually okay.
Yeah.
Just keep chucking those.
Yeah, I never ate a glowy meal, but I had that glowy armor. And I would usually put that on when I was running around in the depths.
The mining armor or whatever. That's like silly. It's like a bunch of straps with light bulbs on it.
Yeah. I do like that the helmet is like obviously meant for a like non-human figure. Like it was made for like a Zonai or something. It's like it's got that snout on it and stuff.
And then otherwise the game is very freeform. You're able to do whatever objectives you feel like or not, at whatever pace you want. You can go straight to Ganondorf without saving without helping any of the sages and getting their abilities. It just makes it hard for yourself, but you do you. There's a bunch of side quests that you can or don't have to do. There's so much to do. I've been playing. That's the game I've been playing pretty much during all my free time that I'm playing video games. Other than Street Fighter, I've been playing a little bit of that. But after this, I have done so little. I feel like I've done maybe like 20% of what I want to do in that game.
Yeah, I got over 100 hours into it, and I still feel like there's a ton I've missed, and like I still feel like I kind of rushed the ending. To be ready for this.
Well, now that you've beaten it, that you two have beaten it, you can see your percentage completion. I think I'm at like around 150 hours, and I played the hell out of it, and I'm at 60% completion.
Wow.
I didn't even know they measured that. Is that just like in the stat menu or something?
Yeah, it's it'll be on the map on the bottom right now.
The map.
Once and because for all I know, they're gonna have a DLC with hard mode down the road. So it's like, how much do I really want to grind out? But it's like I've gotten like 35 hearts and a ton of shrines. I've unlocked every single light route in the chasm. I've gotten a ton of armor. I've got a lot of Korok seeds. 60%. I have no idea what the other 40 is and how long that would take. But yeah, to Cosm's point, it's overwhelming in a good way. But like, yeah, it is. They really packed it full.
Yeah.
It's like there's it's substantial stuff to do. It's not just like a lot of games where you're like 100% completion is like collecting 1,000 stupid little things across the world or whatever. Like there's like full on like side quests, and they're all like fairly substantial and interesting. Like I think the side quests are vastly improved in this game over Breath of the Wild, which wasn't bad, but a lot of them were fairly basic. Yeah. And like a lot of these are like more involved, or like they're more tied to the story and the main story in some way, even if it doesn't really affect it whether or not you do it. Like the whole newspaper storyline, which is about like sightings of Zelda and stuff, and give you some like hints of the like puppet Zelda's nature before you like get really far in the game, and like that's a really involved and fun side quest.
Yeah, I mean, for context, like you already had the sky we all saw coming, and there's a lot more up there than I thought. When I finally started really look for more shrines and sages' wills, then you got the chasm, which is it's as vast as the regular map. Then there's 150 caves, Like,
Wow.
yeah. I don't know if there's there is a cutscene you get if you do them all and get all the bubble gems, but I don't know. Like, it's just, I guess the point is like along with all the armor sets you can find all around the place. It's like, yeah, there's just all the wells. There's like 65 wells or something like that. It's just, yeah, there's a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I have like enough, like I finished all the main quests, and I like haven't done much for the side quests, but I still don't even have the full like depths map filled out yet. Like there's so much more stuff that I could do / will do, but
yeah, there's like a sky island I never figured out how to get up to. It's so far away, and like there's
glide forever. You can go mine zonite it forever and get a bunch of batteries. Although I saw that you had a lot already, so if you can't get there, I don't know who can.
A really intriguing side quest is actually finding the ancient tablets up in the sky, because they give you some additional background of Zelda's life when she was living there as like their quote unquote. I forget the title she had.
Chamberlain or
oh yeah.
Well, the Chamberlain's the one who's writing them.
Which I assume is Minoru, but yeah.
No, because Minoru was.
No, the Chamberlain's just a
rando.
It's just like an unnamed servant in the castle or whatever.
Yeah, I got a couple of those. I would like to get all of those. I enjoyed that side quest too.
Yeah, I got several of them, but some of those are pretty hard to reach too. Like,
and there's like
some
13.
Of them collapse into the depths when you land on them.
And you're like, oh, okay, I guess.
Like, oh fuck.
Yeah. I guess I'll go down there. Like, I need this to be translated. I need to know.
One thing that
I think that's a lot of quests.
Terrytown has some dope stuff.
Right. You can build like a whole new majestic house, even better than the one that Zelda commandeered.
And the bubble gem guy, I forget their brothers. I forget their names. But the other one that was from Breath of the Wild.
Kilton and Colton.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I liked that quest where you like build models of monsters.
I've got me a really creepy Phantom Ganon where he's coming right at you. Yeah. So, a lot of cool extra content.
Because the main content wasn't good enough. There's a bunch of cool extra content.
Yeah, and just how much the like, even just the regular surface world has changed. Like,
right.
Yeah.
It was fun going back to places that you've been to in like Breath of the Wild and then being like, oh, this is like here now, or this thing is here. Was that always here? Like, I don't know. I like that part.
I loved like being allowed into Gerudo Town undisguised, just for like everyone's reactions to you. That was really fun, especially the little kids who were like fascinated by you, but still like trying to follow the rules. So they're like covering their eyes while they're talking to you and stuff, and they like follow you around. It's really cute.
Yeah.
But then later they're like, we need to modernize, you know?
Yeah. And you can be their like, you're like they're like model dudes, so they can practice talking to talking to men in that class.
Always
really funny.
Lurelin Village and everything with, it's been taken over and you gotta kind of
rebuilding
liberate them.
Really fun side quest.
Yeah.
I like that Sidon replaced the Mipha statue in this part of the Zoros domain with a statue of him and you.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. I like that they like have this whole new area that's like in honor of Mipha too.
Yes.
Like they didn't replace the statue, they moved it to like a new place of honor.
Yes. I did also appreciate that. I was like, how dare you replace Mipha with me, but whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious. Oh, and there's all the like the Yiga stuff. They're actually like in even more places than they were in Breath of the Wild. Because they have all their subplot in the underground, in the depths, and then they also have like taken over, like they take over the tech lab and like that hut on the Great Plateau and stuff like that. They have their little hideouts where you can go fight them and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I never finished too, because I know you can like get the full armor and then like just like hang out with them.
Yeah,
like, they're...
I think that would be funny. I got 2 of the 3. I need to figure out where the third one is, but
yeah, same.
They're actually pretty
like
fun.
Death Mountain's like completely different because the lava's all
it's gone,
like cooled, and so you can like like walk on places that you couldn't before, and it's uncovered like caves and tunnels and stuff.
Man, it made the
it's pretty cool.
It made the depths really hard because you needed the Flamebreaker armor, which meant you couldn't have your Midna's helmet or something to protect you from gloom while you're down there.
Right.
So it was actually one of the more challenging parts of the chasm.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't explore much in that area except for the fire temple.
Yeah.
The fire temple's cool. All the temples are fun, though. We talked about that.
Yeah, I like the...
They're fun. I wish they were longer.
Yeah, that is a valid complaint.
In some cases, getting to them was a huge part of the journey. But I wish. I mean, you're never really gonna have like a full on fleshed out like the old school temples that take a ton of time. But it was still, I think, an improvement over Breath of the Wild, where it didn't feel they all felt unique in their own ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, like getting to them was often more challenging than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I felt these are kind of like almost the perfect balance in my perspective, because I like the like individual theming and like them all being like unique and to their areas and everything, but I also like the like open-endedness of how to beat them. Like I enjoyed that in Breath of the Wild, like where it's just like, here's the spot you got to go to it, and so you can like just figure out your own way to each area in whatever order you want to go.
And I like that they're kind of, I think one difference between these temples and like past Zelda games that I think is kind of an improvement is they're very like integrated into the area around them. So like you can just walk into them and like you can just like for the most part. I mean, well, like for the the ship you have to like jump up there and whatever, but like they're technically just there. You can just they're just like it's almost like getting the journey of getting to the temple is part of the temple itself, really.
Yeah, it's like you can see like the inner workings of the temple from a distance and just like get to them.
Yeah, the Wind Temple, it was like, okay, I've gone pretty high up, I think, and you kept like craning your neck like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Also kept getting colder and colder. I was
I
like,
know.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna freeze to death. Like I had to stop and cook peppers somewhere with like a portable pot because I was like, I don't have enough armor for this, and I don't have enough money to buy armor because it was the first place I went. That was funny.
Yeah, and you're like partway up the sky, Tulin's like, "You okay there, buddy? You getting
totally
cold?
Fine. I'm totally fine."
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets like because it gets up to like super freezing in the top part. So yeah, I was like, I have 12 minutes of pepper time before I have to beat this boss.
Yeah. I like the like variety in their like locations too. Like two of them were up in the sky, but with different mechanics. Because like like you were going just like higher and higher on the bouncy things with the wind temple, and then like the water temple is lower to the ground, but it has that like anti-gravity floating water stuff going on.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then you had the fire temple in the depths, and then the lightning temple on like the surface. So
yeah, and then the spirit
explored
temple.
all parts of it.
Yeah.
The spirit temple's in the depths, and it's like all the rooms are split up. So, like, it's not even, like, contiguous, although a lot of them had, like, split up parts and whatever, but in that one in particular, it has, like, a central part, and then it has, like, a bunch of
it's like the actual spirit temple is just, like, one room.
Yeah.
But the
you don't even go...
construct factory is basically part of that.
That's right, because you go to the construct factory to build the construct, and then you both go together to the spirit temple, and then that's where you do the fight. So it's like you have this whole, like, half of the dungeons in a separate location, basically.
Yeah.
Some of the puzzles building those limbs was, like, some of the more complicated / intriguing puzzles they had, and that was like
yeah, there was one that I really struggled with. One of the ones in the Spirit Temple where you have to like get the thing across a gap, and there's like the electrified thing on the side. I was like, what am I supposed to do here? I made a long bridge and attached it to it, but I don't know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I wound up Googling that one because I was like, I don't know what you want from me here.
Yeah. I guess you're supposed to make it go fast on the
You have to
rail.
build like you have to build like a lopsided cart, so like the wheels are like on one side higher than the other, and then you can have it run across that.
Oh, the electric thing.
That's like
yeah,
that's the like quote unquote intended solution.
Oh, that's bizarre. That's definitely not what I did.
There was one part in there where you have to take it through like this lava field, and I think you have wheels that you can use to make it like go through like between these grates, and it'll end up on the other side. and you have to take it
there's like
upstairs,
lava flowing down on the sides, right?
And then you have to take it upstairs and have it go back across, but this time it's just a dip back to where you started. And I kept trying and trying and trying and trying, and I just could not get it through. I was like, what the fuck? And so, like, I went over there, and I realized that is not the way you're supposed to go. I think that's if, like, you somehow lost your thing and you need to go back. That's how Link gets back without it. And there was a door I missed that you had to open and let them through. I was like, oh, thank God. Okay. I
thought the Construct Factory was fun. Like,
yeah, it was.
Because it's a bunch of, like Zonai parts. Like, it's basically like a massive shrine where you have a bunch of, like, weird Zonai parts. And then you have, like, the things that are holding the actual pieces of the construct, and you can, like, attach stuff to it. So, like, you can use it as a vehicle or whatever. It's kind of fun. That's what I did, at least.
Yeah.
But all of them were fun and interesting. Like, all the temples were different and interesting, and I enjoyed them. I kind of like the callback in the lightning temples, very similar to, like, some of the other, like, desert temples where it's, like, a tower.
I was just thinking about that with the light manipulation.
Yeah, with light.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was.
I love a good light puzzle in a Zelda game. So
it's like mirrors.
Yeah.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, as soon as I got like a Zonai capsule that had like a pocket mirror or whatever, I was like,
pocket mirror. You're like, a mirror, you say? But then usually it's like I would just end up using the Ultra Hand to like hold it up high enough. Like, I don't know if you're supposed to do something else. Maybe that is what you're supposed to do, but I don't remember attaching them. Maybe you did get attached to something. I can't remember. Most of the time they're like up high and you can't really adjust it, so I just like held them up really high.
I think a lot of times you just had to like move the other mirrors in place, and then you just had to hold it at the right angle to start off your like chain of light.
Yeah, that was fun. I fucking hate the Gibdo mushroom thing though. Those were horrible.
Yes.
The nest.
It's really satisfying to hit them with Ryu's lightning though.
It's the only thing that makes it good. It's like when you get to destroy it.
Yeah.
I love the I mean, it didn't end up being. I was hoping it would have been more challenging at the end, but when they had you defending Gerudo Town and setting up like, this outfit of Gerudo warriors you're gonna put here, and then you're gonna put like a cannon here, like you know what I mean, like just setting up the town's defenses and setting up whatever Zonai devices you wanted. I thought that was like basically a tower defense.
Yeah. The first time I fucked it up, but then I was like, okay, I finally get what you want me to do, you know. And they were like, where do you want to put your units? I'm like, I don't know. What do you want? I'm not a general. What do you want from me? That was fun.
That area had one of my favorite gags in the game, where like there's the one Gerudo who's like really obsessed with the cannon. And then, like, when you're done, she's like, says that you can fire off a like one cannon salute in honor of like the victory. Then when you do it, everyone starts yelling at her, and she was like, "I just thought we could fire off a salute, and also the Vo did it." It just immediately throws you under the bus.
That's funny. That whole part is kind of cool, and you get to go in like in their like little secret hideout for a while.
Yeah.
And then you have to do the same defense thing at
You're too short to look into the door, so you have to put a box in front of it.
I saw that. You also have to defend the Oasis. So there's like a multiple kind of like tower defense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite. I think she's my favorite sage out of them, and the favorite just temple and access to the temple. I think I just like that whole thing a lot. Out of all of them.
Yeah, I think the climb to the Wind Temple was my favorite, like, temple access part, but I really enjoyed the, like, Gerudo region as a whole, like, just, like, like, interacting with the people there and, like, defending the town and everything.
I think my favorite sage is Minoru, but I agree with all the other things that you just said. Like, climbing all the bouncing sails on the airboats and, like, all the stuff leading up to the Lightning Temple is really fun. Still a bit disturbed by the drug epidemic.
Yeah.
In the Goron area, but
I wouldn't say. I would say the Fire Temple was probably my least favorite actual in terms of the because it was like going around the mine carts and soon as you get turned around, it was like I didn't like between that and then like the drug thing, that was probably my least favorite. It's not even that like I disliked it. It just that was at the bottom.
I really like launching Unobo when you're riding the carts.
Yes.
That is fun.
Really fun.
That was definitely cool.
And I also one of my favorite music, like background music things from the game is in the Fire Temple. So I really enjoyed the music there. But yeah, I also agree that I thought like it was kind of fun turning all the minecarts and stuff, but I just wasn't super into the like minecart thing in general.
Yeah.
It's in there's a lot of like temples and stuff where you have to use little minecarts, and it's like it's fine, like whatever. But not my favorite thing.
Yeah, in terms of the actual temples themselves, I think it would be the Spirit Temple for me. The Water Temple was actually quite fun in its own way, but Spirit Temple, like something about lights and mirrors, just love that stuff.
You mean the Lightning Temple then?
The Lightning Temple?
Yes. Spirit Temple was the Gerudo Temple in Ocarina of Time, and it has a lot of similar. So I assume that's what happened, right, Ben?
Yeah.
Oh, I had the hardest time at the Water Temple, and I ended up like because I went with Sidon up there, and like we split off, and I ended up getting to the Water Temple and missing the part where you reunite with him. And I was like, okay, so he's going to be here somewhere on this temple.
So Wait, so did you unlock the temple without him?
I just made it up to the temple. Like, so I activated the door. No, I don't remember if I was able to activate.
He's there.
Yeah, but like I was there and I was able to explore around it. And I found like around. I basically went through the map and I was like, okay, I imagine like there's that door with the fire coming down that you have to use his ability to walk through. I was like, I assume I need Sidon to get through that. He's not going to be there. Where is he? And I finally looked at my map, and I guess there's a platform right below.
It's like right in front.
That that I didn't go to. I somehow skipped that and got to the Water Temple by missing that. And so I reunited with him, and then I already knew what to do since I pretty much did the temple just without him.
That's funny.
Yeah. I had something similar when I got to the Wind Temple, because it's the first one I got to. I didn't realize that you had to, like, activate the temple, like, to start. Yeah. So, like, the part where, like, Tulin runs over and is just hanging out there, I just started, like, I was like, I guess I have to do the temple by myself. And so, like, I started, like, going around. And then, like, I died, and I had to, like, restart from, like, outside the climb. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And then, like, I finally realized that you have to actually...
Yeah, if you activate the temple,
I was like, what, you have to go do it in one go? What the heck? And then, like, No.
No, it's not Majora's Mask.
Did it wrong, yeah.
That's funny.
And I was like, some of this stuff seems like I would need Tulin for it.
Yeah,
like,
you have
like,
to.
Navigating. Like I didn't even know about, like, activating the locks yet, because I didn't get that.
Oh, yeah, but to sail...
But even just navigating around, I was like, kind of seems like I would need him for this.
Yeah. Because you have to fly down to the bottom, too, on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I finally realized you have to actually, like,
you
just walk over and talk to him and activate the temple.
There was a couple times where I needed to trigger something, and it, like, wouldn't, for whatever reason. Like, it would take me a while to figure out what I needed to trigger. Like, I think during also the setup with Riju, where you have to go over there and, like, shoot the things or whatever, I was just like, I know that I need you, just come. Like, I don't, like, let's start the thing, you know? Like, let's do the thing. I can't remember exactly what happened, but there's a couple times where I remember, like, where you have to go through a sequence of, like, cutscenes or whatever, or talk to them a sequence of times. I think it was actually the Fire Temple. I, like, walked in and I was like, where the fuck are you? And he was, like, waiting. Nobo was, like, outside of the Fire Temple, because you have to talk to him on the, like, ramp up into it, even though it's completely open. I was like, okay, whatever, man. Like, I'm already here. You catch up. Yeah. It was a little strange. Sometimes. Most of the time it was fine. But
yeah.
I guess it's a downside.
Yeah, once I figured it out with that first temple, I was like, okay, now I get that you have to activate the temples before you.
And you have to do certain things in a certain order sometimes to, like, get the cutscenes to progress, or get the, like, you know, get things to unlock where you can interact with them. So do you want to talk about speedruns? Is it time?
Right, speedruns. Okay, so because I spent a lot of time playing the game, I haven't actually watched a speedrun. I didn't have time. But I looked at the different techniques that you can use. So I can go over some of those. And then I also have, it looks like Gymnast 86 has been the most prolific speedrunner in this game.
Didn't they also do Breath of the Wild? I feel like I recognize that name.
Yeah, he's pretty big in a lot of them. I've watched some of his speedruns from the Games Done Quick for... I think I watched him do Wind Waker, and I think he did Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. I think he did one of those. And I think another one at least. He does mostly 3D Zelda games. He's pretty he's a pretty big name, I think, in the community. The day it came out, he beat the game in 1 hour and 34 minutes and 33 seconds.
Wow.
And then
That's any percent?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that was the day it came out, so I think it was literally just beat the game. I remember, that morning, I looked at YouTube before I went to work, and I saw, his speed run, and I was like, 2 hours speed run? Okay, crazy. Wait, you posted this at like 2 in the morning?
Yeah, he probably got the game at midnight.
Yeah, and just speed ran
and
it.
Played it.
Yeah.
And beat it.
Yeah. So that was cool. And then his most recent time is on June 7th. He got 53 minutes and 55 seconds.
That's pretty good.
But Player 5 has him beat at 49 minutes and 42 seconds.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's a pretty quick game to beat, but not as fast as Breath of the Wild yet.
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 I'm sure they'll find a way.
Yeah. So, one of the things that's a little disappointing is there's some pretty cool glitches that have been patched out.
How rude.
I know. So there is
I noticed there was a patch recently that it was downloading updates recently.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it seems like it's mostly been getting rid of like item duplication glitches.
Yes.
How dare.
So that was one of the biggest ones is item duplication glitches, where you can trick the game into dropping items from your inventory while keeping them in your inventory at the same time.
Nice.
So you can get multiples of your items. So that way, if you just need Lionel horns to do big damage, great. You can do that. There is something called the ABCs, which stands for Auto, Build, Cancel, Slide. So when you go into the Auto Build ruin, Link does like an animation, and then the menu comes up for auto building. And then I think if you it was hard to understand. It might be either between then and during that time you can do something. So you can activate that ruin, switch to the Ultra Hand, and stuff like that, and then it like kind of messes things up. But I think you have to cancel auto build into auto build, and then if you do it right, you can do other things while auto building. So the auto build is up there. The little blueprint is up
the
there,
purple thing,
and it'll start collecting things to build, and you can maneuver it like it's collidable. So if you walk forward and it hits something, it'll start walking. Like you'll walk closer to it, and you can stand on it. And once you stand on it, because its position is basically relative to you, so if you stand on it, you could then start walking, and it will hover with you, and you can move in any direction that you want, and it will not go down because it's holding you up, and its position is relative to you. So as you walk forward, it'll walk forward.
It's just like underneath you, no matter where you are.
Basically, yeah. But it's very easy to walk off, and it tries to keep the closest, so whatever you see on the auto build, right? Whatever angle you have it built at is the angle that is going to try and hold it. So that side is going to be closest to you. So if you go somewhere, it's going to rotate to try and have that part be with you, closest with you. So they typically make a box, and you can even put a slope on the box, so you can walk up the slope, and the thing will go up with you. and then you can move to the side, and it'll slowly turn one way. And then, for some reason, just the way it works, it'll turn one side, either left or right, by walking forward, and then it'll turn the other direction by if you're in the back, but it'll turn much quicker. So you have to be a little more precise with that. But yeah, so it's interesting.
So you use that to walk places.
You can, to fly.
Cross things or fly. Yeah, okay.
There is something called a recall launch, where you can throw a spear, recall it, as it's like still in the air, attach it to a plank, and then recall it again. And at some point, while you're on the plank, it like jerks, and it will launch you straight up in the air. So that's an easy way to gain a lot of height really fast. There's a way that you can jump / cancel. So you jump attack, and then, well, I think you jump, you shield surf, you jump attack, and then you, let me see, what does it say exactly? If the game, so this is what it says online. If the game believes the player has a bow equipped when there is none, any attempt at performing a jump / will be cancelled immediately while still giving the desired height. So basically, if you like pull out your bow and drop it at the same time or something like that, the game kind of thinks that you have a bow equipped, and then you can jump / pull out your bow, and it'll like not know what to do, and you can just jump / again, pull out your bow, and keep going on and on and on to gain infinite height. There's also a way, something called arrow smuggle, where you pick up an arrow, you have it held in midair. Wait, no, hold on. Basically, you pick up an arrow and drop your bow at the same time, so Link only has the arrow in his hand and not a bow. And then you don't even have to worry about like constantly like trying to drop your bow and pick it back up at the same time while you're doing this jump / thing. So it allows you to gain a lot of height a lot faster, which is kind of cool. And then there are two more that I'm going to talk about. One, I forgot what it stands for, but one is called gas, which sounds, I don't remember what it stands for, but basically you try and attach a Zonai device while it's onto one of your items, but you drop it at the same time, and then you immediately equip a different weapon of the same or shield, and then you have the Zonai device attached to your gear, and you can have it activated while it's not in your... while you don't have it out. So like just on your back, it'll be activated. And it drains battery power. But one of the things that's interesting about it is, unlike other things, for some reason when it's in this state, if you do something to stop time, so if you recall and you don't select anything, you just in that frozen state, or if you're talking to an NPC or you're resting, that is still active and it is producing the effect, right? So the wind effect for the fan, or the fires for the flame emitter, or something like that. And so when you unpause the game from whatever state you're in, it'll load all of those all at the same time. And what that lets you do is, because the game is trying to load everything, you can clip through walls and floors a lot easier. So you can do that to just go through most thin surfaces. Like if you're going through a very thick rock, you may have a harder time. and you just may not go far enough to cross the boundary, and it may just kick you back out to in front of the rock or something like that. But you can go through a lot of the smaller, thinner surfaces pretty easily. Infinite damage, which isn't quite infinite damage, but if you are doing a spin attack with a two-handed weapon, and at the same moment that you hit an enemy with it, you pick up an item you haven't picked up before, and it brings up that screen that's like, oh, you've picked this up, and it gives you that brief description. Your weapon is still active and will keep hitting them until it breaks. This is the easiest to do on the Hinox. You spin attack, you hit it, and then you pick up one of the swords that it has along its belt. You can activate that state, and you'll instantly kill it.
Huh.
Yeah. So those are some of the cool things. There's a huge list of other techniques. Even if if you go to zeldaspeedrun.com, they have this is where I'm getting most of this information from. They have a list of all the different patched glitches that don't work anymore through the different versions and such. So there's like something called Ghost Glue, Ultra Broken, Smuggle Stacking Zuggle. Which from what I saw a little something that it seemed like you could put a bunch of different weapons into the same equip slot. That's what it sounded like. So I wasn't able to get more information about it, but I think you do something similar, where you just overload the game with so much stuff in one spot that it like can't load everything properly. But yeah, there's a lot of gas stuff that has all now been patched out. Oh, Guardless Active Shield. There it is. That's what it's called.
Guardless Active Shield.
Guardless Active Shield. So your shield is active while you're not holding the guard button. And that allows you to do all the Zonai stuff. And you can, from there, usually when you freeze time, you can do all these different things. One of them is, in addition to clipping, if you have that mode active and you have a battery over your head and you ascend, I think you can do other things, but like I think specifically with like the fan, all that wind, from what it sounded like, all that wind builds up and you get launched straight up in the air. And then actually, for that one, I think you need to have it equipped to your sword instead, because then it's pointing straight down rather than on your back. But same sort of thing. Without it being used, it's active, and it'll launch you straight up in the air, and it'll stay launching, so that you keep gaining some height as you're like, because you have a fan basically pushing you up, and all that. So it's cool. It's neat. Some interesting stuff that they've got going on.
It's good times.
Yup.
This game is fresh.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll get shorter. I'm sure people will find new things.
Yeah, although they are patching things out. So, actually, I wonder if, I'm so silly. I forgot to even look here. I think I was looking at, Zelda Speedrun, which didn't update. On speedrun.net, there have been, Gymnast 4 days ago beat, the previous record at 44 minutes and 48 seconds. And yesterday, Player 5 has 44 minutes and 43 seconds. So Player 5 is...
Titans of
Player
Zelda
5 is still in the lead, but I think it's an updated time.
For the record, yesterday was July 15th, for people listening to this.
So, yeah. Version 1.2, it looks like if you've updated and you don't have the glitches, the fastest speed time right now is 52 minutes and 45 seconds. So a solid 10 minutes. 8 minutes. 8 minutes you lose by not having the glitches available to you. So that's not all that bad. As of right now, there's only one person who has done all dungeons with the newest version in 4 hours and 10 minutes. So, again, you want number 2 spot. You probably could do it. At least number 3 by the time this comes out. You probably have a chance.
This comes out in 2 weeks, basically.
Yeah, you might have a chance to make your name for yourself in number 2 or number 3. If you
could definitely get top 5.
Yeah.
Probably.
But if you want to do all dungeons with the glitches previously, it's 3 hours and 15 minutes and 21 seconds. Nosley. Okay. So the person who has the number one, the only record, is number 17 for the previous version in the all dungeon category. So it seems like maybe, but that's a month old. So it seems like maybe that this person is pretty active, you know. So I don't know. Let's see. All main quests to do that takes 4 hours and 25 minutes and 25 seconds by Keiko Yellow. Or if you want to do that's empty. No one has done. You could just straight up try and do it with the newest patch. You'll be number one. I think would take a lot longer and is a lot harder, but no one has it right now.
I like your pro tips about which speedruns to do if you just want to have your name on the leaderboard.
But the previous one, 15 days ago, we've got 8 hours, 7 minutes, and 40 seconds to do all shrines.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shrines. There's like 150, so that's substantial.
It's a few minutes of shrine.
Yeah. You could probably do the shrines relatively fast, but I would just imagine getting there's gotta be challenging.
Just finding them all.
Yeah.
There's lots I haven't even seen.
Running to all of them or whatever. Yeah. And then also getting through the first shrines because you have to leave the Sky Island. So does that mean it's time for visuals and music?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I mean, I'm just asking.
No, I think so.
Okay, visuals, let's do it. I want to talk about them. Although there are some differences from Breath of the Wild, but obviously this takes place in the same world and the same, like, visual world as Breath of the Wild. So, in terms of the main overworld, you have a lot of the same look and feel and a lot of the same, like, characters and locations and items in terms of their, like, visual styling. However, this time, instead of Malice, we have Gloom, which is very similar to Malice, but still like hot pink, whatever, except it hurts now.
Yes.
That's the difference, right? For the most part. Although I guess the Malice also hurt you if you ran into it or whatever, but it wouldn't perma-damage you like Gloom does. And like I think there's way more of it around, like especially in the depths.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have this kind of glowing pink goo everywhere. The depths themselves obviously have a different aesthetic. Like it's a new area. There's like kind of floating particulates everywhere. It's very similar to like the Upside Down from Stranger Things, except for the goo. Although I guess there was kind of goo. There was goo in the Upside Down.
Wasn't
also,
there?
now I think. Yeah, there is. Now that I think about it.
It's a very creepy aesthetic, but it was. Yeah, those particles make a big difference to me. That's the first thing I thought of when I thought of visuals. Like that was the immediate, because again, I didn't know about that at all going into the game. So to be kind of
right,
come down here and there's these particles and you can't see 2 feet in front of you. It was just a really nice switch.
It's a good surprise too. I feel like they did a good job like marketing, like the sky. We're gonna work in the sky. Everything is great, and then they're like, also you have to go to the depths, and you're like, what? Like nobody ever talked about it. Like. At least I don't know. I never saw any.
No. I think they. I think
like...
even it was on a very strict need to know basis within Nintendo, even, which
really
sounds Nintendo of them.
Yeah,
so.
That does.
Yeah,
that does. But yeah, so the depths themselves also have like their own landscape, and there's different, there's different like plants and. There's like rocks and like trees. There's even like gloom trees and shit, like the gloom ever means and stuff. There's everything, all like the monsters down there are covered in gloom, which is also new aesthetically and like as a mechanic, right? And then like I think the main important thing about the depths is it is pitch dark around where you are if you haven't activated like a light route. So your vision is restricted in the depths. Which aesthetically creates a nice dark horror movie type feel, basically. One other thing is there's a new Blood Moon sequence, which I guess is like kind of a visual thing. It's just updated with different enemies, and there's new dialogue. And one thing that's also interesting, like, which I guess is more of a sound thing, is like Zelda's not there after you fight Ganon in the castle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, just kidding, it was actually Ganon, now the puppet's gone. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that was a very neat addition.
Yeah. Because it's the same the whole time in Breath of the Wild. So
Yeah.
just like removing Zelda from that sequence is like pretty, it gives it a little even more like meaning, I guess, which is interesting.
This to me was the coolest that Link's ever looked with his Raru hand. And like,
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
yeah, it was just
His glowing Raru hand.
yeah. And you can, dress him up however you like. I thought they did a good job with that. And then anything Zonai aesthetic was really cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. All the glowing.
Yeah,
Everything
and
is green and glowy.
I'm a big fan of green. So the switch from the red to the green was huge for me. I love that.
From like orange and blue to green and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the new shrine aesthetics overall. I mean, like, all the Zonai aesthetics all kind of like fit together, but the shrines, I think, is where you would encounter it the most.
Mm-hmm.
So even like the outside has this, like, it looks kind of like pottery or like stone, as opposed to like the Sheikah ones that look like I don't know, they kind of like the ones in Tears of the Kingdom look like even more organic than the ones in Breath of the Wild. Like, they look like a rock that was just like dropped there, and then you can like warp through it. Like, I like that the door in Breath of the Wild is like, it's like an elevator.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell it's like technology, but it's like the Zonai's technology is it's advanced in such a way that it's like blended in with the environment. Like, you just walk through the wall. It's just pretty cool. I don't know. I enjoyed that aspect a lot. There's that theme also of like the gates, like the kind of Ouroboros with the two dragons, like head to tail in a circle. That's like the main logo of the game, but it's also in a lot of the Zonai stuff in the game. So like all those, like the portals that you touch to open, like to ready the temple, or like the gate around the shrine, or the gates inside the shrines often have the double-headed dragon or double dragon in there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The shrines also have like an updated aesthetic. The interior is obviously like updated. And one of the things that it has is this like Zen, like dry rock garden pattern texture on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of like sort of, I don't know, like Zen design influence in the shrines, inside the shrines, and in like all the Zonai spaces or whatever, like Temple of Time also, and like the temple where where you get where it turns out that Zelda was a dragon or whatever. Like that one, the with the eye, the dragon, what it's called, it's like Storm whatever Island or Lightning Storm Island or Thunderhead Island. Where it's like a dragon shape, and then there's like an eye at the end. Yeah, there's the same aesthetic is also carried through there. Which I really enjoy, first of all, just like visually. I think it's really striking. Like, I thought the Sheikah aesthetic was really nice, but I really like the way they elevated and like changed the aesthetic for all the Zonai technology in this game.
Yeah, I like how just like how like the dragon motif was like something like pretty common to like the Zonai ruins in Breath of the Wild.
Right.
And so they just kind of like obviously have some like sort of worship of the dragon spirits with that like island that's like shaped after Farosh, and like accessing it is like you have to like wear the like Farosh outfit, and like there's those other dragon based like outfits that they say like were used in rituals or whatever.
The Kakariko Village, the ancient ring ruins were really cool, like having them like float in pieces. And like ascending into them, everyone's like, "Holy crap! How did you do that?" And then just in general, like again, like we keep talking about the prologue, but like the colors of the Zonai, like green and like darkness, it fed into the aesthetic change. I feel like you compare like Ocarina to Majora, and it's kind of a similar type of feel where they went for creepier, darker, and more foreboding, and they chose the right color palette for that, I think.
Yeah.
More like austere, at least in the interiors and in the temples and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I really like the ceilings of the shrines.
Me too.
It's almost got like an underwater like look to it.
It's kind of wavy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like you can sort of see like stuff through it. Like it looks like there's like other like stuff up there that you can't get to. But...
I also really like all the symbols and like the seals around the hand like gate and stuff. The symbols look like ancient Chinese writing. It kind of looks like seal script to me. There's actually a very specific style of seal script that I found, which is called bird insect or bird worm seal script. Here, I have sent you a video in the chat. You may look at it, or not a video, an image in the chat. But like you can see how this style of script is characterized by these like long kind of like wiggly shapes, like a worm. That's why it's called bird worm or bird insect, and add little bird heads and stuff. But I think you can see like there's multiple types of seal, like kind of ornamental ancient seal script, and they all look very similar to like the symbols in the shrines and the symbols on like the zonai like architecture, which is really cool.
I think I also saw that the like sage symbols that appear on the stones are like kanji for those words, but with like a eye motif added on.
Right, so seal script is like these are all they're ancient versions of Chinese that were then adapted into Japanese, right? So it's like it's probably the kanji or like the like Chinese character for that with additions with additional shapes. So, and that's all. It's actually, if you really want to dig into it, also like I think all these things are kind of like referring to this period of like ancient history, not ancient, but like past history where Zen aesthetic was developing and like writing styles were shifting in China and coming to Japan. So it's very interesting, all reference to all kind of the same, like it's all tied in together with the aesthetic, which is really cool, I think. And they look as
which makes sense with the
yeah,
which makes sense with the Zonai being like an ancient culture that like came down to Hyrule and started influencing things.
So it's kind of aesthetically it's an interesting blend of all these like ancient things, but also like modern. Like it's like robots, but then there's like ancient seal script. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the aesthetic choices they made in this game visually. In addition to just the green glow in general, which I also like. I like how everything's kind of glowy.
Yeah, and the secret stones are Magatama stones.
Oh yeah, you're right. The comma shape.
Which are like another like really ancient.
Just and like the circle, like kind of Ouroboros or circle itself is a symbol of this like symbol of completion and symmetry and balance. It's like really, I think it also ties to that like general theme of connection and aesthetic of like things. You already mentioned it, I think, where you're saying like the story has this sort of like everything that starts finishes in kind of like the same place, and like there's a lot of like symmetry in the story. And I think that's also reflected in some of the aesthetic choices, which is also interesting.
Yeah, the duality.
Yeah, they did a good job, is what I'm saying. I didn't have any other specific visual things. I also just wanted to call out a couple of things, but I really want to talk about music. So also there's that.
Okay.
But if there's other visual things that you want to talk about, the things that you liked or like...
I mean, I think something that, like what Ben said about, like, Kakariko, how it looked really nice. I think, and not just Kakariko, but, like, I think being in the sky and being to see these huge landmarks from a distance, it was always very, like, pleasing, right? Because, like, sometimes, because, like, you get lost up there and, like, oh, that's where I am. I know where that is. So, like, this is where I am in relation to it. And there are these very unique landmarks throughout. I mean, like, there's the geoglyphs as well,
right.
But, like, other big things around in different areas, like, even just seeing the chasms from up there, like, how visible they are from so high up and things like that. I think, just in general, it's a very pretty game, and being able to, and, like, Breath of the Wild was too, but, like, being able to see things from that angle from so far away, I think really adds to it in a way that you didn't get.
And you just add all the shit in the sky. Like, you start to really understand. Like, Skyward Sword was one thing. You get to play in the sky. There's a map up there. But, like, this was, like, levels of sky. Like,
right.
Well, and I think with that, there were clouds like blocking you from
Yeah.
from seeing one from the other, you know? So they were very separated, whereas here it is very integrated and very well.
Yeah, I think this is what they really wanted Skyward Sword to be.
Yeah.
And just couldn't
Yeah.
do it on the Wii's technology.
Right.
It's really impressive too, because I mean, you can dive from like way up in the sky all the way down to the depths in one smooth motion. Like,
Yeah.
There's no like obvious transition or anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some load. There must be some loading happening.
Yeah,
at some
but
point.
I don't.
But
Yeah, I think you like transition
in the
into like a
depths.
tunnel
Yeah.
kind of thing
Yeah.
into the depths, but it's like they make it so like it's pretty seamless.
Yeah.
You don't.
as a
It
player,
doesn't feel like you're loading.
yeah, you don't really notice. You just feel like you're falling. You mentioned the geoglyphs, which I totally forgot about. Forgot to talk about, but
Yeah.
the geoglyphs are also like where you find the Zelda's memories, and they're reminiscent of the Nazca lines, which I think people are probably familiar with, which are large geoglyphs in Peru. You can Google it. You can see them. They're very similar looking, although they're not glowy in real life. They're just big lines.
Yeah, but they are like almost like unfathomably big, and you can really
Huge.
only see what they are from like a really high vantage point. So that same kind of
And like aesthetically, they're also similar in their like shape and their style and like the way they choose to visually represent things. So yeah, it's definitely an allusion to that.
That's why, Al, when you said you found the cutscene with Sonya and Ganondorf so early on, and I was like, how did you find that one? That one was hard. That glyph was huge.
Yes, some of them were really hard to find inside I'd walk around the like geoglyph for like 10 minutes trying to find the actual like tier. But yeah.
after the first couple, I would try to like find a place nearby, and like if you looked at it through the scope, sometimes you could see which tier was
smart.
filled in. But but some of them were challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they were well placed too, because like I found them in like roughly the right order.
That's good.
Like just in my like natural wanderings. Like I found the like the Master Sword one last. Like
Oh, I found that one first. But I mean, if you played Zelda, you know the Master Sword's not a spoiler, I guess.
yeah. Well, I mean the one where it shows like it pretty much tells you that Zelda's going to become a dragon.
Oh no, I meant the first one where it goes back in time and you see it from Zelda's perspective, which I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I did, because like one of my friends told me like that you could watch them out of order, so and that you could find the order if you wanted, and I did, but it was too hard to just try and get them naturally in order, like perfectly. So I just skipped all the cutscenes and watched them all at once I found them all, which I think
Really? That's funny.
yeah, I recommend that. It makes it a lot easier than trying to like remember which one
I
is
wanted
which.
the intrigue. I kind of liked that it was
Yeah, I
out of
like-
order. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I mean like roughly the right order, I mean like I found like the earliest one fairly early, and like the middle one's kind of toward the middle, and like the ending one's kind of toward the end. I definitely didn't find them like in the strict order, but I kind of liked that like oh, what's going on there, and then you go back and fill in some of the information.
I definitely did
And like the most spoilery ones were locked behind progression. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't find you couldn't find the Zelda transforming one until after you found all the other ones.
Yeah.
And like
That worked generally for me until I heard that Ellen saw the Ganondorf and Sonya one, like the second one she found, and I was like,
yeah, but then I was like, but what happened? You know? So,
yeah, I
so
found
it's
that one
fine.
fairly early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that one fairly early on too, but yeah, it worked as like intrigue. Like I went from like everyone being like fairly happy,
Yeah. You're like,
and then like all of a sudden I'm like, oh god, someone's dead. Like
my wife and I saw a bunch of Sonya and Zelda interacting, so then that happened, and it kind of hit like, oh no, like it kind of hit more.
yeah, like I think I'd seen the like
yeah.
the little dinner party one before that, but I still found it like fairly early on, like before I saw any of the other Ganondorf
Pretty sure
stuff.
I saw the one with her gravestone before the one where she gets assassinated because they're separate. And he was like, "Oh, Sonya," and I was like, "Why did she die? What happened?"
I was like, do it.
But I don't know. I kind of like that though. I like that it's like mysterious. I mean, this game has a lot of. I think like we talked about how in Breath of the Wild all the memories kind of like built up the intrigue about what happened in the past. I think Tears of the Kingdom takes it to like a whole other level of like mystery story of what's happening. I kind of liked that.
Yeah, I think it also kind of fits like in universe how the memories were like placed, because I mean it was just like the last like desperate emotional like memories that Zelda had as she's like transforming into the dragon. So it makes sense that they'd be just kind of scattered at random.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like their addition, and like I think it fit well with the story. I do miss the sort of like the trying to figure out where the pictures were from the other one from Breath of the Wild. Like you have a clue as to where it is, and now you have to find it. So I wish they did something similar to replace that part of it. Because I do miss that gameplay element, but I think what they did is
I like that in concept more than I liked in practice, because I'd be like, this is obviously the area,
too,
but then you have to hunt down the like exact specific spot.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. That's my thought on that. But I do think that it was the right call. What they ended up doing and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you get a bit of that if you find the like map with the geoglyphs, like that old temple.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that part.
And you could be like, oh, this one's roughly over here. And
there was some places in the depths where you found like an ascension tower, and it would take you all the way up to the main land, but right in front of one of the glyphs. So it was one of those, like, there's multiple ways to kind of find help to find them. So.
I enjoyed those.
All those moments where like you either have like a deep dive from way up in the sky or like a long ascension from deep down in the depths are always like so cool. Like the first time I found one of those little like ascension tower things, it like brought me like all the way up to the top of a mountain, and I was like, this is crazy.
Sort of related, because I was just thinking about the actual like visual when you're ascending, but also really like those like Raoru's blessing shrines where you go inside and it's just like floating, and there's just kind of like green and blue stuff happening on the walls, like both that and the aesthetic, the visual thing where you're like swimming through the like material when you're ascending is, I really enjoyed both of those. Like the style with both of those, which is similar. I don't like that you swim, which is hilarious. Swimming through solid objects.
Yeah. I also like that if you pop up near people, they're like, ah!
Yeah. I like that you can pre-decide if you want to pop up, though. You can be like, just kidding, I want to go back down. So
yeah, if you ascend like at the feet of a Gleeok,
like,
you can go like,
pass.
never mind.
Yeah. But yeah, people are always shocked when you
but I was
up.
I was constantly startling that poor Zora guard because he was like right next to like the bridge above the shrine where you would ascend up to.
I just climbed the ladder like a pleb. I don't know. Should we talk about music?
Sure.
Okay. Listen. To music.
I hope you have a section about how fucking amazing the Colgero
Thank you.
It's the best one.
100%.
So in terms of credits, it's Hajime Rokai is the director again, and the composers are like Manaka Kataoka returned. So they had worked on Breath of the Wild, and then we have a couple new people. It's Masa Miyoshi, Masato Hashi, and Tsukasa Sui. So you had some returning composers from last time, which I think is cool because you get a lot of like reuse and riffs of some of the music from last time, which is great. But there's a lot of new music, and I think like in general, the similar like there's the style from Breath of the Wild is back, like piano and orchestral music mixed with synth in various parts. But you have a lot of like there's more different, even broader like styles and genres than in Breath of the Wild. And one of the things, so Kayla, you found that video. I'm including a link that it was by Scruffy, and it was called the musical main characters in Breath of the Wild, which is really interesting if you're really into music. But one of the key differences, I think, between Breath of the Wild, or sorry, not in Breath of the Wild, in Tears of the Kingdom, one of the main differences between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is there's a even more substantial use of like woodwind and specifically saxophone, which Scruffy pointed out as being one of the main characters. So anyway, here's some samples of things that are that have substantial saxophone and woodwind, such as the skydiving theme. So you can hear already there's substantial like flute. It's kind of nice like woodwind ensemble, which is pretty cool. But then there's still piano like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And then this Temple of Time also has saxophone, we think. I asked Mike for his opinion also. We think it's alto saxophone. But someone can at me if I'm wrong.
Sounds like it to me as a very non-music
person.
Saxophone?
Yes, saxophone. So anyway, substantial use of woodwind instruments and saxophones in specifically.
Someone should do a remix with Careless Whisper.
But yeah, and then so there's a lot of other new instruments. One new one that I noticed is that Rauru gets harpsichord for some reason, which is interesting. So this is Rauru's theme. That's what I think is harpsichord, or some kind of affected piano that sounds like that. But still, like, the same sort of, like, orchestral, there's strings. But yeah, so anyway, we got some new instruments that have been thrown into the mix that we had from Breath of the Wild. I think a lot of the music also there's a lot more eerie music than in Breath of the Wild. The thing that we're about to listen to is the prologue, which is from the opening sequence. Mentally prepare yourselves. But the best part about the prologue is that it builds up over time. So it starts off really quiet, and it also has some of the it has like one of the key like other new things that was added from Breath of the Wild, or compared to Breath of the Wild, which is that heavily affected like vocal sound, where it kind of sounds like chanting. But Kaylee, you remarked that it sounds like it's played backwards, but I think it's just like the way that the note, it's like has a long attack and then a short cutoff, like a short decay. So it like builds up to its peak, volume and tone or whatever, and then cuts off really fast. So anyway, this is what it sounds like. So this is the very beginning of the prologue, where it's like super quiet. Then it gets a little louder and faster, and they add more instruments. Then it gets even louder and faster, and they add more instruments. And then the piano, very similar to like the Guardian, yeah, is added at the end. But that like vocal effect is in a lot of different songs, which I'll talk about later also, because it's in all the boss music, which is cool. It took me a long time to find it, but it is in all the boss music. Yeah, and then of course, like we can't talk about Zelda eerie music without talking about the depths music. And we can't talk about the depths without talking about that dive to the depths, like the transition to the depths. Which sounds like this.
Every single time my wife is in the other room going, what was that?
What is that? What is that?
It just went into the depths, no problem.
I think that's also like an affected like brass noise. Yeah. So also there's more like kind of brass in multiple songs. There was some in that prologue music also, but that sound in particular is horrifying.
It's a very I've made a mistake.
Yeah. So you're like, I don't
when you first jump down there.
I guess towards the middle, I ended up warping between the depths and the surface a lot. So towards the, recently, I went down, I was like, oh my god, I don't remember this. What the fuck is happening? That's terrifying. Am I doing something wrong? And I think the answer is no. Yeah, it's just, that happens every time. But, I think I either missed it or I forgot about it.
You blacked it out.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yep.
Yeah, but then the depths itself has this very light atmosphere. Well, not light, it's still creepy, but it has a very subtle background music. It still has affected brass, though, which is creepy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
With particles floating, that was just, yeah, it was really good.
It's definitely the perfect atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like it being super quiet, like having all those periods and like lulls where there's no background music makes it also kind of like puts you on edge. Like you can't, like this isn't like the kind of like gaps in like where there's sound. It's not like it's a consistent sound also, so you'll be playing and then it'll be like warp warp and you're like like I don't know, kind of adds tension also in the
it keeps you from ever like really being comfortable down there.
No, nor should you be, because it's fun.
Yeah.
Switching to other things in terms of the new or like more continuing differences from Breath of the Wild. We talked about the shrine visual aesthetics, but there's also the shrine musical aesthetics that also contribute to being in the shrine. And it has like shrines have similar music in that it's very like atmospheric. It even has this sort of like similar like Magitech kind of chimey vibe also. But it's slightly different. And it sounds like this. Here's a sample. So you can kind of hear like chime that's like got an echo. Real light strings. So there's multiple variations of shrine music, but that's just one of them. There's also like fights in the shrine that have a bit more like they're a faster tempo and there's more going on and stuff too. But
It sort of evokes like water dripping to me.
I don't know if you noticed, but like a lot of the equipment, like the Zonai equipment and stuff, has this stuff that like drips off. It has this like light effect. It kind of looks like sparks or like rain or whatever from like your equipment. If you have something like attached to your shield or whatever and it's on your back, you can see it really easily. Or you have like a Zonite like sword or something. There's this effect that's always happening around Zonite stuff, and it definitely sounds like that.
It's a really cool aesthetic. The shields and the swords. Yeah. 100%.
I think one thing that everybody is familiar with is like the completion noise from the end of the shrine. And the shrine specifically actually talked about how so like the visual aesthetics reference like classical Japanese, like Zen architecture. The end of the shrine reminds me of classical Japanese like drama, so like No theater or kabuki theater. So this is the end of the Shrine of Light, and then I have a sample from a No performance for you, and I have credits for the No performance in the episode notes. This is what it sounds like in the shrine. So there's vocal interspersed with like a clicking noise or clacking noise. And then this is a sample of like No performance where there's vocal interspersed with percussion. So it reminded me of that. So I don't know if that's what they're going for, but it sounds like kind of a take on that where there's vocal sound, and it's also narrating about like you're being purified and whatever, and like it's also kind of like similar to some of the, like I guess No has like more like religious and kind of esoteric themes, and so it's kind of similar to that too, which is interesting now to think about it. But yeah, now we're cultured. Now we've listened to No music, but basically like the same like style of singing and then interspersed with like percussion, specific percussion noise, which is very interesting. And I thought that was cool. I think it ties into the whole aesthetic of the shrine, and like they're, like I said, they're all musically and visually tied together in their aesthetic, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Breath of the Wild had its uniqueness with that kind of, I don't know, you described it in a good way in your podcast of that robotic, sound, but I prefer this sound, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I mean, I think they're both good. I really liked that sort of like Sheikah Magitech aesthetic. It's reused a couple of places in this game, like in the Ancient Tech Lab and stuff like that. But I think this is a good evolution. I really enjoy this. Okay, we talked about the temples and how they're different. So they do all have like nice, cool, different music, which I have samples to play for you. Akela, you're right that Colgera has the best theme. I agree with you 100%. But the interesting thing is that even though they're very different, and I tried to figure out, like I listened to them for a long time, I was like, is there any part of them that's the same? There's one thing that's definitely repeated in all of them, which is that vocal sound. And it could be at the beginning of the song, could be in the middle of the song, could be in different places, it's different rhythms, but it is in all of them. And so I have picked, and all of these, like the bosses have they have multiple phases of music along with their fights. So it could be from a different phase or whatever. So I've picked out a bunch of pieces that have pieces of their songs, but they have really long songs is what I'm trying to say. And they have like multiple songs as well. But for the sake of not talking about music forever and ever, I have samples. So here's Colgera. So you can hear that like ha 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 that in the background. That's like that affected vocal which is there. And then I think the best part of Colgera's, this is a side bonus, is that like those runs up and down the scale where it goes like
because it makes you feel like you're cold and you're way up in the air.
Yes.
I love that. That's the one I've like listened to the most. That's the one I've like most kind of dissected on my own. But it's got like aspects of the Mulgera fight from Wind Waker, and like the big sweeping like choral orchestral part, which is like the Rito Village theme, which is the Dragon Roost theme, and then it's got like some of the skydiving theme built into it, which makes sense since you're supposed to be like diving through the parts of his body. It's just so good.
There's like a lot. All of them have like multiple layers of stuff. It's good that you picked all those things out because like I definitely I don't know, like I was trying to compare all of them.
It's like I'm sure the other
like yeah
it's like I'm sure the other ones have just as much to it, but like that one was so good that I listened to it so much.
It's really
and I was like, oh man, it's got this part and it's got that. It's
really, really good. Here's the Mukta Rock battle, which is also really funny. I really enjoyed this music. It has some really good like effects, but here's this part sample also has the voice in it somewhere. We'll see. But it's like, yes, you can hear that and then it also has that mew, like kind of electric guitar noise in it in that transition between those. That's like, this is like from one part that's transitioning to another part of the piece. So but there you can hear the it has that like clock ticking noise also, which is really funny and cool. And it has, I think, like probably like oboe or something that's making that main no, or something that sounds like an oboe that's making that main noise. Here's Marbled Goma. So you can hear it like in the background. I think pretty sure this one is also one of the ones that's right at the beginning. And so is Queen Gibdo, which is this one.
sitar in it or something.
Queen Gibdo has great. All the music of the Queen Gibdo fight is good. The temples also all have really interesting music. And they're all different. So I also have samples here. Because remember we talked about, like, the divine beasts and how they're, like, kind of, like, meh as a temple. Like, they're good, but they're all very similar. The music is very similar. The aesthetic is very similar. And then the Blight Ganons, their music is all, like, it's the same song, but it's just, has, like, a different composition with different instruments. These temples also have very different music. So, like, here's the Wind Temple, which is great, also. And also spooky. I think that the Wind Temple's, like, musical aesthetic is, like, you know, like a sea shanty. It's kind of in that, like, mode where it has that vibe. It's very, I don't know, I enjoyed that a lot as, like, one of the first places that I went to. Here's the Water Temple.
Gives me ancient cistern vibes from Skyward Sword.
And also it has, like, that harp, which everybody knows means water, apparently.
Yeah.
And, like, also similar to, like, the Zora's Domain in general, with the harp and everything, too. The Fire Temple music, I got 2 pieces of it. Because, again, like, as you get open more of the things, or, like, get more of the keys, or unlock more of the temple, the music also changes and it intensifies. So the very beginning, when you walk in the Fire Temple, it sounds like this. Longtime listeners and players may be familiar with the Fire Temple from Ocarina of Time. This creepy chant. Less controversial, though, I guess, this time.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite pieces of music, which I talked about earlier, is this from the Fire Temple after you get a couple of the keys or a couple of the gongs that you ring or whatever. And it sounds like this. And it has a great bass line. And even while I was listening to it while I was playing, I was like, this is dope. This is great. This is what it sounds like. It has a great jazz bass line. Still with the horrifying screaming in the background, but... Anyway, I really enjoyed this one. It's very fun.
I really like that kind of, like, whining guitar noise in the background.
I know. Everything about it is great. The Fire Temple has great music. It might be kind of like it's like, okay, as a temple where you have, like, the rails and whatever, but the music is fantastic, I'll say. And then we got the Lightning Temple, which also sounds horrifying, I think. Spooky. I think it's funny that you like kind of mistake it for like the Spirit Temple. It definitely has that vibe. Also, speaking of Spirit Temple, here's the Spirit Temple from Tears of the Kingdom. So Spirit Temple is interesting. It also has this kind of like, I don't know, that like beep boopy kind of like industrial sounding like aesthetic, and it's also mixed with multiple like acoustic instruments, which is pretty cool. It still feels dark and tense. Even there was that part, that little part in there that was like more upbeat, and then it comes right back down to some very tense piano music. We didn't talk about Master Koga, but he's back, and his music got an upgrade. A really great upgrade. This first piece is his music from Breath of the Wild, which is great, but it gets even better. And here's his music from Tears of the Kingdom. So he got the electric guitar upgrade in his music, which is really great.
Yeah, I didn't even mention him as a boss fight because he's not really challenging, but they're really fun.
They're really fun. They're really funny. Like, you have to fight him on all the equipment, which is nice too, because it kind of brings your like, because you're like, oh, I make all these Zonai devices to like fly Koroks around and whatever. Like, I wonder to myself, is it really useful? And then you can just fight with him on like his own mech and like his own like car and stuff, and you're like, I don't know, it's just really funny.
Yeah, and his are like way over the top.
Yeah.
Stuff like.
But then it's like, it's still like you just like shoot him and then he hops off. It's it's like so over the top that it's like it doesn't even work for him. You know, it's really funny. And they're like, the plot is like that they're trying to collect all the like crystallized things or whatever to revive the Demon King, but they're like down in the depths trying to get access to the technology and stuff. And then it's like they're still so easy to beat. It's really funny. Link's house finally got an upgrade. Which is everyone will be familiar with the song that goes do 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 do. It's been in like almost every game since probably Ocarina of Time.
The Inside a House theme.
Inside a House, yeah, and it started off as Inside Link's house, but it's Inside a House. So Link's house, if you build the house in Terrytown, you get to hear a new version of Link's house, the song from Link's house, and it sounds like this. Very cute. I don't know. I like it.
By the way, I built my house with the stable opening to the inside, and then put my giant Ganondorf horse in there, so he just has like free access to all my stuff when I'm gone.
You're like, yeah, it's chill, bro. You can come lay down on the couch or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just listened to that and I was like, oh, it's just the house music. Normally, it's kind of like the same. It gets like re-recorded, but it's like almost the same arrangement every time. This one got a little slower once, a little more chill. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was fun. Are you ready to hear Gloomhands?
Oh yeah. Let's do it. Let's cry. Let's all cry together in fear.
I mean, when you listen to it in isolation, it's also really interesting. Kind of like the Guardian music when they're not actively trying to attack you. It's not as bad, but it's definitely creepy. So, it has some interesting things that I'm going to point out before we listen to it, which is it has the noise from the like falling into the depths. It has that like vocal music that's been carried through, and then it has kind of reminds me of some of the like Blight Ganon fights from Breath of the Wild. Anyway, let's listen to it. Brace yourselves. Like that part specifically. So we just heard the like falling to the depths noise in the background, and then right before was the like kind of that like woodwind noise or whatever that reminded me of like the Blight Ganon fights from Breath of the Wild.
That is so intense for what is ostensibly a normal enemy.
I don't think they're a normal enemy.
Yeah.
They don't have a boss fight health bar.
That's true.
That's true. They don't have a health bar. They're just horrifying. When you get Phantom Ganon, though, I guess he doesn't have a health bar either.
Does
When
he
he
not?
pops out, I don't know.
Each little hand has a health bar, but overall, no. Yeah.
But they should get a mini boss.
Yeah, it doesn't get like the mini boss treatment like the High Noxes and stuff.
No, it's just like, what's this horrifying enemy popping out of the ground?
Yeah.
Why is it suddenly Blood Moon time? I was going to say last but not least, but I have some other things I want to talk about. But most important, very important, we have Ganon's music. Ganon also gets a facelift, but he also gets like, you know, his same theme and like the Hyrule Castle theme. And then all the other horrible things that we already talked about and all the scary music also gets that. And his theme is back, blah, blah, blah. Like, when we started playing this game, I already mentioned the Blight Ganon music, because it's like, I kind of feel like it's referenced in the Gloomhands music, but I was surprised by how little of the like boss music they kind of kept from Breath of the Wild. I mean, not like the overworld bosses, yes, like the, you know, like Stalinox or Hinox or like,
Talus.
with the rock things. Yeah, Talus. Yeah, exactly. Like they kind of kept all those the same. Maybe they got a little new treatment or whatever. But in terms of like the Blight Ganons and that kind of stuff, there wasn't a lot, but I heard substantial Blight Ganon music in Ganon's fight music, which sounds like this. This is a sample from Phase 2 of the fight. Mentally prepare yourselves again. There's Ganon's theme. Oh yeah, and the Tears of the Kingdom theme is worked into it. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, it just, especially, and when the strings hit even harder toward the end of it, or like start getting more frantic, it's brilliant. Loved it.
I know. I think this part is the part. Oops. I think this part is the part with the Blight Ganon music. So yeah, it goes like all the way through the Blight Ganon part. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I don't know. I mean, I was like both horrified and also excited that it was there. But yeah, all the Ganon music was really great.
Yeah, the when you're brawling with the sages, like against each wave, when the strings were hitting on that piece, I turned to my wife and I said, "This is the most fun I've had since Red Dead Redemption 2, in terms of like a chaotic battle and just sheer exhilaration." Because like you do like the good bombastic music with it, it just kind of makes it hit even harder for me. So like, yeah, that, and then this part when you're dueling him, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's also the part where he becomes a dragon. No big deal. This is the regular dragon music, just to refresh everyone's memory, which is also rad.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the regular dragon music. It's the same as Breath of the Wild, I think. They added in that like bell, maybe, because that sounds like the one from the Temple of Time. But But yeah, it has this instrument leading, which I think is a kokyu, which is a Japanese instrument that it looks like a shamisen, but you bow it. There's another like Chinese instrument that sounds similar. These are like classical Asian instruments, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is, or that's what it's meant to sound like if it's a sample. And anyway, here's the dragon. This is the dragon part. Zelda's lullaby is embedded in this part of the fight. We talked about how affecting Zelda's lullaby was in the castle music in Breath of the Wild, but this is where they bring back Zelda's lullaby. Start to bring back Zelda's lullaby during the fight sequence. It's the dragon music. Yeah, more the Tears of the Kingdom theme and the saxophone.
I just played this earlier, now I want to play it again.
Good news, you can. You only have to put in an extra like 50 hours or whatever to get back to the go back all the way back. I guess you can probably trigger the fight again if you want. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like it probably loads you up before the fight, so
probably
go back to your file.
Probably.
Yeah, I also really like the kind of like, I don't know, like triumphant version of Zelda's lullaby that plays while you're diving for her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait, why didn't I have that? Hold on, wait.
It's called Last Fall or Final Fall. That one has been stuck in my head for like weeks because it's such a soaring piece of music and it's the last bit. It's just, I don't know. Like, obviously, at the end of this, I'll explain myself more, but, like, that kind of did it for me. In terms of, that's it. Gavel's down. I love this game.
It's the best. Hold on, I'm trying to find it, because I thought I had it. Skyview, Sky Islands. Oh, yeah. Final Dive.
This was not fair to my emotions.
My takeaway from this whole game is that Zelda's lullaby goes with every song, basically.
Yeah.
There's one more thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of music, which is, I know now we've already done all the heaviest hits, I feel like, but there is one thing that I noticed. We talked a lot about how there's like a lot of variance in music in Breath of the Wild. There's like daytime and nighttime music, and then sometimes for other different reasons. I think that Tears of the Kingdom expanded on this a lot. One of my favorite ones is actually there's music in Lookout Landing, which is great by itself, but also there's a variant after when you're supposed to go fight Ganon at the castle, when they're like, we saw Zelda at the castle, you have to go look for her or whatever. The music is substantially different. Let us listen to it. Here's the normal one. It's real charming and fun. I love it. Okay, here's what it sounds like when you're supposed to go fight Zelda Ganon, Esmeralda, as you call her, then at the castle. I don't think they could make it sound sad, but yet. So when you go to Lookout Landing during this time and you like talk to people, they're all like staring, all the NPCs are staring at the castle and whatever. But yeah, it plays this sort of like freaky version of Lookout Landing music at the same time, which is pretty cool. There's another variant of Lookout Landing also. That's just like the one that I remember hearing most, but there's multiple variants of that regular music when there's no freaky Zelda also. And then one of my other favorite awful ones is the Rito Village when it's frozen. So this is what the regular Rito Village sounds like. Sounds lovely, frankly. So familiar. This is the Frozen Rito Village. It's basically a horror movie.
Yeah.
Has that like bass thumping like in a horror movie. So anyway, it's horrifying. It's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that one really struck me when I
I
first
know.
got to the...
When you get there,
Rito
you're like,
Village.
what is happening? Everything is so wrong. Like, it's so wrong. And I think that music plays a really big part in that, for sure.
We hit on everything I love, but there's one more that I'll just throw out there, which is the Stable Trotter Serenade. It's when you unlock all the great fairies and you unlock the troop and they're all together again. They do this like quick, like 45-second thing with like flutes and everything. It's just very sweet and like sounds like Lord of the Ringsy. It's just like you're in the Shire.
There was one other really important piece of music that I forgot to talk about, which is Hestu's.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Hestu got a lift also.
You just saved my life. Maya was going to kill me if I didn't bring up Hestu.
Yeah.
I love the his backup dancers and his extra confetti. Like, I know he had confetti before, but I definitely feel like the additions are all wonderful.
Every time I see it, I can just all I think about is Hestu being his own thing, and the Koroks being a part of it. A David Pumpkins reference.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. They just come out and like
I'm Hestu, man.
I love it.
Anyway, those are all the music things that I wanted to talk about and how fantastic everything was. It's a fantastic game. It's fantastic music. The aesthetics are great. It improved on everything that I liked in Breath of the Wild and took away all the things I didn't like from Breath of the Wild.
I want to talk about just briefly the little songs that Link hums.
Oh my god! I also didn't. Oh, why didn't I look for clips?
Because in Breath of the Wild, he just had one cute little humming song that he did while cooking, but in this one, he hums like little versions of a bunch of past Zelda themes.
They're fantastic.
Like he'll do like Saria's song and Epona's song, and he'll do the Ballad of the Windfish,
Deep
from
Cut.
Link's Awakening, and like there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, I like
Had his own theme.
Yeah, he goes.
There's so much polish. Like, yeah, the soundtrack I think is going to stand up there with the best of this, like Zelda that I've heard. Anyway, I know you guys have heard a million of them at this point, but to me, there's a lot that's just I'm gonna remember for a long time.
I think it's definitely up there. I really like the music in Breath of the Wild, but it definitely has a different vibe, which is that it's really very much background music, and I really appreciated how they expanded on like the boss music. Like it's substantially different in this game, and there are themes that are carried through all of them, but like the boss and the temple music is really different. I don't know. I just feel like it's definitely elevated for sure. Although they both have good uses of Zelda's Lullaby, that's also important.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, they were definitely going for different vibes between the two games.
Yeah. Yep. I think they accomplished that.
But yeah, there's just so much more music. Like, I don't know if there's like more as far as like a soundtrack, but just like more different places that have different music.
Yeah.
Like in this game.
It makes a lot of the moments hit harder to me, and it's like a combined package of what's happening in front of you, plus the music, plus just like all around awesome.
I don't know. It's just a great game. It's probably. Yeah. I mean, I guess we could talk about, unless you have other things to add.
I do have a couple final thoughts.
Okay.
One, I didn't have a chance to mention this earlier, but like, I think Ben mentioned something about how the game, like the music especially, seems a lot darker and like has a more creepy tone to it. Which I find is I agree, but I find it interesting because like I feel like Breath of the Wild was a lot more lonely and creepy in that way. That like I feel like it fit with that. Again, just with the world of like it was very broken and lonely, whereas Tears of the Kingdom has its own problems. It's on the road to recovery, and like there's definitely some issues there, but like it definitely has, I feel like, a more lighter atmosphere in some ways, at least on the surface. I guess if you consider the chasms and all that. And I think the overall story is definitely darker, but I think the atmosphere as you're around the world feels a bit more light.
Yeah, I think Breath of the Wild was like more bleak.
Yes, yeah.
But Tears of the Kingdom has darker moments.
I think because Tears starts off with the threat being so much more immediate. It's kind of like, hey, Zelda and the Calamity Ganon are off fighting, and that's rough. And that's been rough.
I've been doing it for 100 years.
Yeah, wake up already. This one is just like Ganondorf's just in your face, and it's like, oh shit, and that's hanging over the whole thing.
And then a friend of mine had this analysis, and I'm going to butcher it because I don't remember it all that well, but he felt that like Breath of the Wild was a great like allegory for like depression and like how you've been asleep for 100 years and now you have to get up and like it's lonely and there's a lot for you to do, and then like Tears of the Kingdom has you like on the road to recovery, like you're not you still have some problems in dealing with that recovering and all of that, but it's just I don't know, something along those lines. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I liked it and thought I'd mention it here.
I hadn't thought about that before Breath of the Wild. That's actually a pretty cool point.
Yeah.
Because it's true. 100 years later. Yeah. And yeah, you are a lot more isolated in that game. You have people with you and you have Lookout Landing. Like, it's at least more of a party dealing with the problems.
And I mean, you have your sages with you in spirit, at least, the entire time. And like, so yeah, I definitely feel, just it is in a lot of ways less lonely, more connected. I think that was here that we were talking about how the themes seem to be more about the connections you build with other people. Right? I'm not making that up. Someone said that here today.
Yes, you're not making it up.
Okay. Well, because I was talking about the game with some other friends yesterday, so I wasn't sure if I'm thinking of that. Yeah.
Well, look at this guy with his other friends
I know, right?
showing off.
It's like, you're not allowed to have other friends.
Yeah, what the hell? You don't only talk to us? Who do you think you are? We're gonna get reported for hazing. I think overall it's just such a good game, though.
Yeah.
I think in terms of like darkness, it does feel like the Majora's Mask to Ocarina of Time a little bit, where it's like kind of it's the Majora's Mask to like Ocarina of Time's Breath of the Wild. You know what I mean? Where it's like similar vibes, similar environment and mechanics, but like much darker vibes for sure. But they did add new mechanics, but they also added mechanics with Majora's Mask. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Not quite as horrifying.
It doesn't still doesn't make me ask existential questions, and like at the end of this one you still get to catch Zelda and like have that everything come full circle. I feel like at the end of Majora's Mask it's like, what the fuck, like what did I just do, what just happened?
If they put Ganondorf's face on the blood moon and it's slowly coming yeah.
It's like Majora's Mask, you're like, oh good, everybody's happy. Oh,
except for the Deku Butler
mourning his son, and oh, those people are still dead, and Link's still kind of wandering through the world. And,
don't ask questions.
Post-heroic existential haze.
Everyone thinks that you're the people. Ben, you should really play Majora's Mask. You would enjoy.
How
fucked up it is.
Yeah, that and Wind Waker. I think when I get to games, it'll be those two. I don't know which order, but
Wind Waker.
Yeah,
because of its Ocarina of Time illusions.
Yeah.
I think Wind Waker has a lot of influence on Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm in a weird spot compared to you guys where I beat this a month ago. Like I found out about Zelda being a dragon in mine. I just like got like hell bent. Like I had to we're gonna save her, right? Like I knew you would, but it's like how even when you found out how, it's like there's gonna be some bullshit way. Oh, recall, and oh wow, that's actually a pretty cool way to. All right, cool. But like I usually get swept up in emotions with games and like media, so I've had a month to think about it, and I know we'll get to rankings, but it's like my opinion really hasn't changed since then. Even after it all sinking in and having time to think, like, was it just hyperbole on my? No, not really. So
no, it's a good game.
Yes.
Should we talk about our ranking? Those of us who rank.
Sure.
It's the top for me. Whatever. I'll say it. Say it first.
Actually, I need to find out what my previous ranking was.
Yeah, I think we should read off our full rankings since this is
this is the last main line.
last game.
Okay, mine is Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, Phantom Hourglass, Link's Awakening, Link Between Worlds, Minish Cap. What is ST? Spirit Tracks. Mine all have abbreviations. Oracles, Link to the Past, Zelda 1, and Zelda 2. Fuck Zelda 2. I mean, what? I'm sure it hurts people to hear it. Kayla, would you like to read yours?
Yep. So mine is Tears of the Kingdom, Wind Waker, Breath of the Wild, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, Link's Awakening, Link Between Worlds, Phantom Hourglass, Minish Cap, Spirit Tracks, The Oracle Games, Link to the Past, Zelda 1, and Zelda 2.
I'm going to go ahead and make an edit to mine from what I had previously.
Read what you want, and I'll change it.
So,
we can rewrite history here, it's fine.
I think I previously had Breath of the Wild above Majora's Mask, but now that I can put Tears of the Kingdom above in number 1 easily,
okay.
I think I want Majora's Mask as number 2.
Okay, this is acceptable.
Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, A Link Between Worlds, Minish Cap, Skyward Sword, Phantom Hourglass, Oracle of Seasons and Ages, Link's Awakening, Spirit Tracks, Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and Zelda 2.
Yeah, I did kind of the same thing with like playing Tears of the Kingdom. Let me put Wind Waker above Breath of the Wild. Yeah, in like the same way you're moving Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go in reverse order because I don't have that many that I've played all the way through because I've only played a lot of the 3D ones. So I Number 5 is Skyward Sword. Number 4 is Twilight Princess. 3 is Breath of the Wild, because I think I was on the fence about that between Ocarina, but I definitely moved it down now. Ocarina was the one that got me into Zelda. I cherished that for so long. When you're diving toward Zelda and the Zelda's Lullaby hits, it was just like I can't like I just to make that final moment playable after everything, like to make me care so much about this Zelda and Link, to the point where if they move on to a new, like when they moved on to Twilight Princess, I was like, okay, I want this new aesthetic, darker aesthetic, whatever. Or even with Wind Waker, they moved on. Right now, I'm just like, please don't move on. Figure out something. Like I don't want to let this go.
Bring them back. Make another Zelda for Switch. We can do it, right? Yeah. They're selling gajillions of copies. There's no way that it wouldn't be like. Probably all the developers are like, I want to rest.
Yeah. Like, I'm so tired. It's been 10 years.
Well, they're not even done, right? They're like patching it too, so it's like, I mean,
Plus, who knows if they're working on DLC or not?
That's a good point.
Almost certainly.
So, I had a month to think about it. It's just, it is what it is. It's number 1, and
it's definitely a good game.
Yeah, 100%. I've said 100% like 16 times. Sorry. Learn new vocabulary.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's like Breath of the Wild is a singular, phenomenal game, and in my opinion, Tears of the Kingdom improves on it. And like
Breath of the Wild walks so Tears could run.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom wouldn't be this good if we didn't have Breath of the Wild. But like,
none of them would be good if we didn't have Ocarina of Time. Like whatever. But yeah, Breath of the Wild gave a solid foundation that they're able to like improve upon and take the things that were like maybe not so great about Breath of the Wild and bring back the things that people really love about other Zelda games, like the theming, area theming, and stuff like that. With all the mechanics, similar mechanics to Breath of the Wild, but still different. Like you have none of the powers are like the same. You can grab stuff with the Ultra Hand or whatever, but like most of the other powers are completely different from Breath of the Wild. And it is a very interesting game because of that. And the story is great.
Yeah.
There was probably 10 things I would have asked for from Breath of the Wild. And they weren't even necessarily criticisms of like, can we do this or that? They gave me like 9 of them, and then like 5 things I didn't even know I needed. Like it just,
I didn't know I needed gloom hands.
Yeah. My only criticism of Tears of the Kingdom is they didn't bring back Cass.
I know. What the hell?
Yeah.
Bring him back in DLC. Pen is fine, but Cass had like the accordion. He sang his little songs. Pen is just like,
he's so pretty.
I know, and Pen is just like, oh hey, I have heard some rumors. You should go here or go there, and it's like he's funny, but he's no Cass. So
yeah, he's endearing, but he's not as like striking a character as Cass is in various ways.
Indeed.
My biggest criticism is the sage powers, how difficult they are to use when you're in the middle of something. And I think, like, I want to know, how much did you guys actually use your horse and whistle for them?
Oh, literally never.
Right?
I got a horse. Yeah, but then I got a mech. So why do I need a horse?
Well, but that was really late in the game. But even then, like, I'd get my horse, I'd be like, cool, let's go. And then immediately I'd be like, oh, I need to go over here. My horse can't join me. And then my horse is gone forever until I'm at the next stable and decide to grab my horse. Or sometimes I won't, because I'm like, I'm not going to be using you. You can't come with me.
I use them a lot in the early game, but then like once you unlock enough like shrines, especially in the sky, where you can like glide to wherever you want.
So I would have liked either some context inputs for the abilities, like when you're in the air, you just press A and Tulin just does it for you. When you have your bow drawn, you could have pressed the down key, and then bam, you've got Riju doing her thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you hold B and press down, and Sidon powers you up, and then I don't know how to, maybe shield and down or something. On the stick could have been Yunobo, and then if you're not doing anything else, you whistle. Like, I feel like something like that would have just made it so much easier to use those. Because like if you're in the overworld and you're like, oh, there's a rock I want to shoot, so it blows up or something like that. that's easy. But like in the middle of a combat, you're chasing down your friends who are attacking someone because you're hoping to use their power and everything, and then like I don't know.
Yeah, controlling during combat, especially if you have to fight, like you're in the Ganon fight or something, you can't really control them at all. They're kind of like autopilot. They automatically help you. But like I know I was talking to Mike because he was like, "How do your guys do things? Mine never do things." And I was like, "I mean, I use them. Like I run over to them, or like they're just good." He was like, "Your avatars like are always fighting. Mine never do." So like I don't know. Whatever, that was just his experience playing. Yeah. He was like, they never do anything for me. And I'm like, my Tulin shoots people all the time. I don't know what you're talking about. So,
oh, yeah. He's great.
Yeah.
You know? And like Sidon, that'd be stabbing people all the time or whatever. Like, Riju's good too.
Yeah, I never really had a desire to use most of their powers in combat, so that never really bothered me. Like, most of their powers were for, like, you know, like flying around or, you know, breaking rocks or something. So.
But yeah, it seems like
I really only kept Tulin out all the time.
Yeah.
And then I'd, like, if it was, like, a tough fight, I might pop them out just so they could fight things. But for the most part, it's like I had Tulin out all the time, and then sometimes I had Yunobo out for mining and stuff. But yeah, I got Minoru so close to the ending, so I didn't really use her much because I was trying to get to the ending quickly. So, like, I got her and then, like, immediately went to fight Ganon. So
she's a little slow, but, you know. One criticism that I have about PlayStation games or whatever, as a person who's horrible at video games, is like I don't like how you have to like memorize 50 button combinations for games. So I could see that testing that kind of mechanic and then being like, no, or you just go run over and press A or whatever. Like
I would have been fine if they kept both, so you could do it either way.
Yeah, if you could shortcut it, that would be cool.
Yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, I definitely like. I don't know. At least for me, I'm not the kind of player that like wants to have to every time I would play like Assassin's Creed or something, I have to like do the fucking tutorial again because it's like press like up and B to climb a ladder, and you're like I could just walk into it or whatever. Like I don't know, but I think it's just me.
Like I mean, if you think about what they did in Breath of the Wild with Urbosa's Fury, you held B. With Revala's Gale, you held X. Well, I don't know. You held the sword button, and you held the jump button. Yeah. So like something like that would have been fine too, but like you know,
it's because their powers were like either automated or they were like extensions of a thing you already did, rather than being kind of a separate power. Because like it's like Daruk's protection is just like a better shield and stuff. So just use the shield button.
Yeah.
But... I do like that they automated like some of the ones that like were most likely to be needed in certain contexts. Like you can use Tulin automatically when you're flying, and like Yunobo's like poised to go whenever you're on a vehicle.
Yes.
The first time that happened, I didn't like know that was a thing because I like went to do something else before doing the temple.
The temple.
And so I had like Yunobo with me, and so I was like, "What is he doing?" Did I mess something up?
Do we have any other final thoughts?
I don't.
I'm just so happy.
It's great.
I'm so happy I was able to talk to people about it.
Yeah, now we can all talk. Well, I'm glad. This was a fun game. All these games were fun, except for Zelda 2.
Yeah.
That was not fun.
Yeah, it's like I'm looking at my ranking right now, and it's like I would go back to replay everything except for Zelda 2.
Well, kudos to you guys for marathoning through all that over the past couple of years. It's pretty impressive.
We did it. I think technically for our next episode we're playing like 2 or 3 games, and then technically for the one after we're playing like a lot. I forget how many there. Oh, I can.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're intending to.
No, we can't
complete
finish
any of those. We're just sampling.
You don't want to finish every Tingle game. I think it might not be good for your sanity to finish every Tingle game.
Yeah.
To be fair. I didn't pick a sign-off quote this time. Whatever. It's, you know, the make a wish on Triforce or whatever I normally say. They didn't even do that in this game. There's not even the Triforce, I guess. It's just all...
Yeah, the Triforce isn't really it's aesthetically a thing. They still have it in, like, the coat of arms, but it's not really a plot point in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom.
No, I didn't think about that till just now, but...
Yeah, sometimes it isn't.
Sometimes it isn't, yeah. Sometimes it is.
Yeah. That's why there's a lot of things that like you consider like core aspects of Zelda, and then you like go through, and it's only in like half the games, like things like the Master Sword and the Triforce and stuff.
But they keep bringing back Fi's sound effect in the Master Sword in these games, which I like. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Ever since Skyward Sword. So, yeah. So yeah, next episode comes out September 1st, when we talk about multiplayer games, like I said. Remember to send your questions for our finale episode on October 25th, October 20th, not 25th. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, bye, Ben. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. All right, it's good talking to y'all.
Okay, bye.
Bye.